All right, I think we're finally live. Welcome, everybody, to the One Piece Chapter 1179 discussion in Theoryfest, is what I'm calling it. I'm here today with Parvision and the Crap Cafe, and we're going to go through all the emu theories from over the last couple weeks. So some have kind of
Ooh.
come to the forefront since my video dropped, and some I've kind of have like a new perspective on since the video dropped. So I want to go through them with these guys, and obviously, if you guys have any theories, drop them in the chat. If you guys do any super chats, we'll get to them throughout the video. And also, apologies for taking so long to get this thing going. The setup was horrendous. Partially my fault, partially Streamlabs, partially technical difficulties
Par.
out of my hand. Partially Parvision, of course. It's not a stream with Parvision if we're not at least a little bit late, you know. So
I did actually request a delay. If according to my delay, we would have started now. So
yeah, that is
um
true. That is true. Par actually did, but it was mostly my fault or Discord's fault. But it's all good. It's all good. We're here now. So, guys, like I said, we have a lot of emu theories to go through. I just want to talk about kind of all the main prominent theories that have come up recently and any new ones that you guys have. Also, the chat is not showing up on screen yet, but hopefully it will shortly. I did a whole new setup, and that's part of what took forever. And then I reset my computer, and it went away. So hopefully it kind of kicks on. It should be working, but first off, I just want to get your guys' early thoughts on just what was your kind of like main takeaway, or what did you find most intriguing about the emu reveal? Let's start with you, Crap Cafe. I haven't heard anything or much from you about emu yet, so.
I mean, the design is fire. I think we were all kind of expecting that, but wow, that blew me away completely. Um, I just it brought so much hype to me for what is going to be the end of the series now, and eventually just learning more about his background and what he is, because he looks like he's almost like an entirely new race from anything we've seen. At least like a combination of some of them. I don't know. It hyped me up completely.
Yeah, I agree. He looks like he's out of Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, it's very different for One Piece. So Par, what was your kind of biggest takeaway from everything?
um it's a mix between like, obviously hype, but it also feels like Oda's still hiding a lot, and like he
Mhm.
revealed a lot, but I feel like because it's masked behind a transformation, like we don't necessarily know what Emus is yet. And then I think what for me the biggest like question, shock, or kind of like confusion, I think a lot of people are asking the question, but for me it was the biggest one, was Oda kind of broke the mold when it comes to like god characters with a god complex. Like I think back to Enel was untouchable, we couldn't make him bleed, and yet Oda showed Emu bleed off the first like frame.
Yes.
And so like, yet despite Emu being a god, it makes you wonder why Oda decided to show us the weakness. And it's not even being hidden in the last picture where Emu's like face is out in the public now. There's like a streak of blood. And so it's like it's not like Emu necessarily cares to have that like invulnerability that Enel, kind of was, felt a lot of confidence by, but at the same time, as a reader from a standpoint from fiction, it's like, dang, like what does this weakness mean? Why?
Uh, I don't know, Par. I don't know if you can hear me, but Discord just pooped out. You guys see how it's all gray? This is what I was dealing with earlier. This is what I was telling you. Discord was not working with me very well. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what just happened. See, y'all, now
Okay.
y'all see what I was dealing
Emu.
with earlier. Now you see, Discord was not wanting to work with me. Anyway, continue. You're
Yeah.
talking about how we see the blood, and that's very different from a lot of other villains that are like untouchable.
Yeah. Just like a lot of the theories, even when I was on stream, it kind of nothing really fully answers it. Like I remember someone was saying like, oh, is it because Emu's like closer to the water or in the lower realm?
Yeah.
But in reality, the sun realm is probably just as high as Meridjoa, if not like the exact same altitude. So it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. Would that have happened if Emu went to Skypiea? Is Skypiea higher than where we are? So there's just like a lot of questions from that just spawned ever since
I
Oda
will say
decided to show
that
us the blood. What color is the blood? You know?
I will say that we are at the same height as Skypiea right now.
Yeah, that's
Heaven or
right.
Sun Realm should be at right about 7,000 meters.
Yeah, because I think the Heaven
look at
Realm,
that.
I think the implication too with the Heaven Realm is it's like even above the clouds. You know what I mean? So it would
Yeah.
make sense that the
Yeah.
Sun Realm is sort of at sky level. And so Par, actually, something that you brought up there that I found really interesting, and it's actually the first kind of like theory I want to go through, because this was something I discovered after the chapter, and I think you probably heard about it. Also, I'll make the chat bigger here in a second, but have you heard about the pressure gauges? Are you familiar with this element of the emu situation right now? Oh wait, click the wrong thing.
No, I'm not. Pressure gauges, is this referring to Somers' heart? Like seeing the Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
so we had a pressure gauge on the heart, that is the steel heart that Summers had. And we also had pressure gauges on the guys on the moon that Enel met, right? And this guy actually had multiple, but a lot of different people had these kind of things going on. Like the other people that he met separately. And so I don't know. What's your kind of like the first thing I think of honestly with this is like, you know, the celestial dragons are called the celestial dragons for a reason, right? And so is this maybe hinting that Emu like is from space or even has a tie to the moon in general? Because another factor that you got to consider is like the ancient kingdom was really high tech and it fell. And the story of Burke of the Moon Cities, it was really high tech, ran out of resources, and it fell, right? And so, and also, you know, there's a lot of Enel and Emu parallels going on. And after this, Enel finds like a robot army, essentially. And it seems like the Gods Knights may be robots or like some version of a cyborg. And so I'm wondering, like, I don't know, like, is Emu kind of paralleling this in that he took the tech from the ancient kingdom and now he has a robot army in the Gods Knights? You know what I'm saying? That it kind of parallels Enel, or I don't know. What do you guys think about that? What's your sort of takeaway?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, you go first. I was
gonna say, remember the chapter came out, and we saw that like shadow emerge from Emu. The first thing I saw, I actually might want to go back to it, was that space alien, because it kind of like it almost a little like hunched over, but it kind of has like that same shape. It looks like a top hat almost. So maybe like the shadowy like demon or whatever that is inhabiting Neurona Emu potentially is, you know, from something from space. And if you've been watching some of my videos like this last year, I have like Moon Piece as my agenda right now.
Yeah,
this is fantastic for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, for those pressure gauges, the question would be why? Like, why is it even necessary? Usually, it'd be if you're like a foreign, you know, entity and you can't deal with the pressure, or they're dealing with a pressure gradient, right? Because we know that if the heart is made out of steel and the bodies are regenerating, it kind of implies that they're like real bodies, probably elsewhere, and the heart is like connected to it. So if you're dealing with a situation where the body's somewhere else, and that's why you can't damage it, then, you know, where is, maybe the pressure gauge is a hint to where the real bodies are, whether they are like submerged underwater or like, you know, due to the abyss marks, or if they're in space. Like that would be kind of nuts. I am curious to know, like, if it's that, like, the heart thing was kind of a loop, because in and of itself, it seems so simple. Like, why didn't Scopper just kill that? You know what I mean? Surely Scopper knows by now. He sliced them in half, and then the heart falls out, and you're like, you know, Zoro didn't use rocket science to be like, what happens if I crush this heart? And so you'd wonder, like, after all the times Somers like self-imploded with the other Holy Knights against Scopper in the past, he's never like poked the bear, you know, poked the heart, if you will, you know. So I'm not too sure.
Well, that's one thing. That's one thing I'm super excited to hear is like Scopper's sort of reaction to all this, because like he, at least in my mind, like he somewhat knows Emu exists for sure because of God Valley and stuff, but like, does he know the full story? Like, has he seen this form before? And as far as the hearts go, like, they fought the Gods Knights a bunch of times. Is he like, you know, I would expect more of a reaction if, you know, he really was that familiar with them. So I'm just kind of like, I want to see Scopper kind of jump in, you know. I don't know what you know, his like, I don't know what he's gonna say, but he's got to say something. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Scopper gets cooked here in the next couple chapters as well. As much as I hate to say it, but Emu's got to throw some serious hands, you know, very soon to like power scale him up. And I mean, Scopper's right there with him. You know, Scopper, Zoro, and Chopper are all there. So, real quick, I want to get through a couple super chats just so I don't get too far behind. So as the stream was starting, Juvial Grace with the $5, you said, sorry I missed last stream again, but I rewatched and I'm here for this one. Thank you for being here. You sent that even before we started, and I'm sorry it took so long to start, so hopefully you're still here. Spencer with the $2, genuinely what an awesome time to be alive. This is the peak of One Piece fandom right now, you know, to be to be here reading weekly when this stuff happens, so for sure. And then Meek, also wondering, could Emu be a sort of chimera of all the marginalized group in the One Piece world, as we see hints of various races in Emu? And I love this super chat, Meek. Thank you for setting us up, because the next question I want to ask you guys is basically about this, because I feel like one of the biggest questions about Emu right now is, what is Emu's race, right? So one of the main, I feel like there's two main things that people have kind of said so far, which is, could be a cross between Lunarian and Ancient Giant, because Emu has the dark skin and white hair, and also these like tall horns like we see with Ancient Giants. Or Emu could be like a special demon race of some kind, because we saw with Robin and Wano that, you know, whenever she used Demonio Floor, there was curled horns at the top, and she also had red skin, and maybe that's what we're seeing, and we just don't know yet. I really hope somebody brings that up in the next chapter, like, oh, what's with that blank colored skin? Either Zoro can say, oh, you look like a Lunarian, or Robin or somebody can be like, oh, what's with the red skin? That looks like a devil. You know, somebody's got to say it, I hope. And so going back to Meek's comment, I do like the idea that Emu is like a chimera of different races, because the government's oppressed all these races, especially the Lunarians, who have been wiped out, and Emu even took their land because they used to live on the Red Line, so it would kind of make a lot of sense that Emu ties to them in some way. So what do you guys think? Let's start with you, Crap Cafe. Where are you at on the whole Emu race situation?
I think there's a few ways we can look at it. So we know he's from the Void Century, so there's a chance that he could be from even earlier than that.
Yep.
So like he could be a precursor race that kind of like evolved into all these various different ones, and that's why he has characteristics of these different features of races. But then we also have, like, if he does have, you know, red skin and white hair, and he is connected to the Lunarians, and that really connects him back to the moon and the sort of, as we were talking about, like the space minks or the space aliens. That could give him another tie there.
Yep.
But there's one thing I kind of hope we get to find out. Like, I saw someone discussing this in your Discord, actually, Dak. But sort of the symbols on him are actually part of like an old like text of like different various demons.
Yes, yes.
Not the exact name of it, but he could be like a demon race that you said that's now extinct. But just given his features, I feel like it has to tie back to the moon. So I'm hoping he's like a precursor, and we're gonna get like some ancient story where we get the beginning of the Devil Fruits and Joy Boy, because he does originate as Nika and then to Joy Boy, and then Nika, we know based off his design, is, you know, a bit more ancient looking. So I mean, I'm really excited for like the Adam and Eve origins of, you know, the One Piece world.
Yeah. That's something I really hope we get, because obviously the Adam Tree is here, and we could talk about this in a little bit, but I feel like the Adam Tree might become a homie, and we're gonna get like King Bomb 2.0, but it's gonna be like way souped up, you know, where the Adam Tree is the next King Bomb sort of situation. But Par, where are you at on Emu's race?
It's a interesting one. I hate to say that there's a future video idea probably on the specific race that I feel like the connotation of the connection with Robin means way more than people realize, because it's like, what is Robin's devil fruit then? I had a video a while back saying that like Robin's devil fruit is probably one of the, if there are other fruits that don't have their true names out there, Robin's is like one of the top candidates for me. And so now we are contesting the fact that like, hey, Robin's the part of Robin's fruit that isn't really should be a part of her normal power is also looking a lot like Emu. And so the thing about Emu that I will touch on though is I really like what Meek was saying, but the other part of it is that this is a transformation, right? Like I think that part is confirmed for me at least, that we saw Emu growing the wings. So like Lunarian, whatever, right? But also as far as the silhouette goes, the horns aren't there. And so what I find interesting about that is if you're doing a transformation and your devil or your power is the devil's fruit, and you know it's a combination, you create this combination transformation, then wouldn't it be that all the things that you see in Emu right now are what Emu is not, right? Because if you were an ancient, it's like Luffy having a human fruit. Well, he's already a human, so it kind of doesn't really change how he looks. So if Emu's transforming into an ancient giant Lunarian, you know, whatever else you want to add on there, then wouldn't that mean that Emu originally before the transformation is everything that's not that? So without the wings, without the horns, without the giant size, you have to take all those things away, and then you probably get what Emu truly is. And so that's where it's really interesting, because that's where I feel like Oda's still hiding a lot by showing us the transformation. It kind of locks away us stabilizing on what Emu truly is. We know what Emu might want to be like though, because if Emu is the creator of the world, and this is, you know, as Vegapunk puts it, the end stages of evolution on the many branches of future for humanity, then we know that Emu at least has one, a tie to humanity, but then two, these are what Emu desires. This is what, like, you know, in a way, kind of like Bonnie with Nika, you know, she had to believe it and had to then see it to believe it. So in another way, Emu, in order to do this, wouldn't it be kind of similar to that too? Like, this is what Emu desires to be. Might not actually be, in a similar vein of, and I say this in the video that I'm going to post, like, probably sometime during the stream or at the end of the stream, that like it's kind of like Usopp. Usopp desires to be the brave warrior of the sea because he's not. He's the furthest thing from what people assume to be a giant, a brave warrior of the sea. And that gap between where he starts and where his dream is tells you how powerful of a dream that is. And so if you apply that to Emu, then what we're getting is what Emu wants to be, rather than what they truly are. And so, you know, I do like the connection of like, hey, the Space Minks kind of have a similar, like, you know, goofy, shadowy form that Emu has in the shadow sense. But I feel like we're like, we want the unmasking, but we still didn't get it because Oda hit it just a little bit out of frame for us.
So the thing for me that I feel like would kind of answer a lot of these questions is like, what is Emu's devil fruit exactly? Like, is it that Emu is transforming into a devil because of the fruit? Or alternatively, is it that Emu always was a devil, but maybe like in Marijois, they access this silhouetted form to kind of like protect themselves? I don't really know how to put it, but like as soon as they transformed into this, they start spitting up blood and stuff, right? And so it makes me wonder, like, well, is the silhouette form like a safe zone? Like, whenever Emu's in that form back in Marijois, they put this all on pause, like the sickness or whatever's going on isn't like taxing on them. But then whenever they leave, they go into like their true form, and that's what's happening, you know? And like I said, it all kind of depends on like what their fruit is, because like, like I said, if it's a zone fruit, if it's like a devil zone of some kind, then we definitely know that Emu looks a lot different, and Emu has all of these abilities because of this, like some kind of mythical devil fruit, because we just were told it's the devil's fruit. But I honestly am like, I'm very 50-50 on what's, or I should even say like 33 on what's happening with the devil fruit, because like I can see the zone part. I could also see that it's just like a paramecia and it's granting all the abyss powers. But I could also see that that it's like it doesn't even fit in the confines of normal devil fruits, and it's some special thing that is not, that we shouldn't even be trying to compare it to, right? So for me, I have like I said, I'm like split evenly between all of them. So so I guess Crap Cafe, what do you think about the devil's fruit part? Are you like, do you think it's a zone fruit? Because that's what I see a lot of people saying, but I don't know.
I mean, I almost think it can't be just a devil fruit because it has to be the same thing from the Gorosei. So it's how they just haven't had like a devil fruit title. So it has to
Yeah,
be something that they've been given or received from something else. It could just be sort of like we saw when Brooke got summoned, or someone literally summoned a demon.
yeah,
I looked up the name of the book. It was the Ars Gyosha, and it's like the book of 72 demons. So it could be that they summoned one of them, and then we see all those runes along Emu's body. So that could be just the proof of that. And then obviously something has to tie back to that. So it
yeah.
could just be that they summoned a demon and then made a
You,
contract. And
you know, now that you bring that up, it is kind of funny going back to like like the I forget what they're called, but like I think it was Birch who was talking about it in the Discord, but like the different like symbols, like demonic symbol thing, the sigils, how whatever it was called. It's
Mhm.
actually kind of funny because for anybody who plays RuneScape, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. But it's hopefully it'll make sense anyway. But so RuneScape has these like temporary game modes sometimes, and they usually have like different themes. And this one just happens to be demonic packs, and they literally posted an image of like all the new power ups and stuff you can get. And it literally looks like what we're talking about, where it's a bunch of like nodes and dots connecting together. And so that actually, like, it was so funny seeing this the other day because I was thinking back to what you're talking about, and I was like, oh my god, that looks like Emu, right? Because and it's so weird because it's demonic packs and they have the same node structure. Because like, yeah, like those things kind of make up, those are very typical like demonic, symbols and whatever. And I believe Birch, I don't know if you're here, but I believe he also said that two of the two of the typical marks are like they're almost named Shanks and Shamrock or very close to it, like the names of the
Yeah,
markings, right? So yeah, I don't know. I saw somebody in the chat say that emu is the devil fruit, and I kind of like that too. Like emu, I don't know, it's like a
very
sentient fruit.
possible.
I like that.
And then I feel like kind of like that really makes you think about like top musica in the movies. I feel
Yes.
like the movies are always spoiling things.
Hmm.
And I just saw there's another one called the Mechanical Robot Soldier of like the Moon or something, or I think it was Burka. So I'm thinking of maybe that could be
Yeah.
connected because we already know like Emeth and then now Emu potentially if he is like a space mink or whatever we saw. Uh, then like the pressure gauges on the hearts, it
Yeah.
could be tying back to there. So it's like, oh my god, how long has Oda been planning all of this?
Man. Yeah. It's it is crazy kind of looking back on it, like because we all know, or I assume most of us know, Oda's had like a 5-year plan originally. Like he's known the end of One Piece forever, so it's kind of crazy seeing Emu now, and it's like how much of this was planned and how much did he decide to add throughout the story because he's like, oh, you know what, that's pretty cool, let me like rope Emu into that. Real quick, I want to get through a handful of super chats real quick just so I don't get too far behind. Mr. Bushido, member for 37 months, I appreciate you. He said, hey Parvision, long time carrot
Oh,
the mink for Nakama.
Oh yeah, yeah. Classic Bushido.
Yeah, the number one carrot fan, which is saying
Yep.
something because
mhm.
there's a lot of carrot fans. But Paz GFX member for 31 months. What about Bogard showing up to Elbaf, Par?
Hey, I never said Bogart would show up to Elbaf. I said he'd show up to
God Valley?
Hachinosu, and
Oh,
I got that right. I mean, God Valley was a given. God Valley was a
yeah, but he
given.
didn't do
But I
anything
said,
though. Is the problem?
yeah, Hachinosu. Well, I
Or
also said he wouldn't
Hachinosu?
He
do
was just
anything there.
flexing his conquerors hockey.
Yeah, I said he
Yeah.
wouldn't do
He,
anything, but hey, after 17 years of the character not being there, and then 3 months before he shows up, I say it. I'll take my W,
eh,
and I'll
wait,
handsomely walk away with the, you know.
Par, have you tried voting for Bogard in the popularity poll?
All right, Dax, did you bring me here just for this, huh? Huh?
Hey,
You know that.
hey, Paths was wondering, about
Hey,
about
all I'm
Bogart.
saying, if in the world of One Piece, you're on the right path when you're being erased from history, right? Is Bogart being
All
erased
right,
from
that's fair.
history on the
That's a good rebuttal. That's a good one. For those of you who don't know, Bogard is not an option in the popularity poll because he doesn't really have a name because he was only named in the anime credits one time, and he's just chilling. They didn't bother. They knew nobody was going to vote for him, so they didn't spend the time coding it in. Mr. Bushido, for €5. My theory is Garling is going to betray Emu to take the throne. He's giving suspect vibes for a while. P.S. Kids versus the Holy Knights. Or Kid versus the Holy Knights. How do you feel? Let's start with the first one. I am curious what you guys think about the reaction of the Gorosei. I don't have a panel to show you guys, unfortunately, but obviously the Gorosei were reacting, like, each of them kind of differently, right? With Emu trying to leave. And I think some of them you could look at, like, is that genuine concern for Emu? Like, they don't want Emu, because they know Emu's going to suffer, you know, they're going to be in pain leaving. Is it, like, self-preservation? Like, well, if you die, we die because of the Covenant, so, you know, I don't want you to go there. Or do you think, like, I don't know, or do you think each of them have a different agenda, I guess I'll say? Like, do you think some of them were, like, you know, speaking out of genuine concern? Do you think some had, like, ulterior motives? And, like, specifically, Garling was very much like, let's not question this, let Emu go. And so you could reason it like, oh, does he want Emu to die, you know, for some reason? So what do you guys kind of gauge from their reactions individually?
I feel like at the start the reaction felt like Garling was on an island. Like, he was just like, what kind of decision making is going on here? And I feel like the difference is kind of like the new hire versus the people who've been there for a while and are jaded. And it felt like, you remember that conversation after Lulusia? They were like, "Oh yeah, let's shoot in the middle of the ocean where there's nobody really there." And he was like, "Nah, Lulusia." And then they had like all this like logic that they put out there, and it was kind of just swayed away. And after several times of that happening, I could see, like, you know, characters like them who are putting so much thought into their decision making, only for it to be tossed away without any kind of, like, you know, explanation or any kind of consideration being the most important thing. They kind of get jaded. And then that's where the difference where Garling comes in, where Garling's perspective, especially with like characters like I don't know if it was, you know, not a reference, but like he was saying it because of Rox, but having lost to Rox in the way that he did, yeah, he was the guy who was like, we can't underestimate these like lower dwellers. And I don't know if that's character development from that, or that's just plain, or like
PTSD of some kind.
Right. Well, whether it's PTSD, I just like, the main thing that I've been saying about the Holy Knights, and quick aside, is that like what makes them so problematic for me is that it seems like they don't have character development. Like, they just lose, and then there's no like development of like, hey, we should do something different. It's just, hey, we're immortal and Emu like sent us out here and we're just cool. And they're not cool because they just, like, Sommers is out here ignoring Luffy and Loki and trying to hit kids and misses the kids and then loses to like Zoro and then get bopped by Luffy and Loki. It's like, how about you grow awareness? Like, this is just what they need. They just need awareness. And like, that's what happened to him against Shocky. Why couldn't he dodge Rayleigh? You know what I mean? Like, Rayleigh kind of set up, talked to his ass, and he just got bopped. And it's like, bro, at some point you gotta dodge. Like, at some point you gotta do something. Like,
it's kind of like Logia syndrome, like where in pre-time skip, like Logia's felt invincible. You know what I mean? So when somebody finally steps up to him that can hurt him, they're kind of like, whoa, like I have no idea what to do now. I never had to develop past being invincible, so now, you know, I'm kind of stuck, which is actually very interesting given the magnetic stuff we learned this chapter too. I mentioned in my last video, and I'm curious what you guys think about this, and shout out to Mr. Bushido and Elia from the Discord who brought this up. But what if the God's Knights are made of like iron sand or some kind of just magnetic particles in general? Because then they would operate like Logias, where like the magnetism would bring back each individual piece, right? It's kind of like a Logia. Like, if you punch Crocodile, like if you punch him in the shoulder, his shoulder blows up into a bunch of individual sand pieces, but then it just flows back and makes his body again. Feels like the God's Knights are kind of like the same thing, but it's just like magnetic, right? And so going back to them being cyborgs or whatever, they just have, you know, their metal bodies just pulling everything back.
If they're metal, if they're anything, and Oda designed the Holy Knights just to give Kid some W in the story, and we get the cool aura farming moment where Kid just goes, I got this, when he has catered opponents for him, fine, do it. After what happened against Shanks, he deserves an entire Holy Ropo where he just gets to solo them, and he's just like, look at me, guys, I'm so cool, I took down the Holy Knights. And we're like, yeah, Kid, woo! participation.
Isn't it weird though? And Sai brought this up in the redacted video I recorded with him. But isn't it weird how the Gods Knights are tying to Law's and Kid's powers so closely? Like, because they're cut up into a bunch of different pieces, like Law's powers. The heart is separated, just like we saw at Punk Hazard, and also the Rocky Port incident and all that kind of stuff, right? The separated hearts. And now we have the magnetism part, and it's like, all right, so now we got Law and Kid, you know, being tied to the Holy... Like, are they going to be the counters of the Holy Knights? That's like what it feels like Oda's doing, is that these two, more than anyone, can figure this out, you know? Like, they have experience with these kind of things. And I don't know. I don't know if that means Law is going to show up as well, because I feel like Kid is still alive, most likely. But yeah, it's very uncanny, for sure.
And it could also be a reason to not bring them back into the story, because Law and Kid, like, they just take a steaming dump on the Holy Knights. If they're like, Law can just take the hearts out, personality switch. Like, if that's truly their weakness, and Sommers kind of didn't have any poker face on. Like, if he wanted to convince Zoro not to do anything to the heart, then he did a terrible job. But imagine he did that in front of Law. Law would he'd be his plaything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just kind of wild that where we're at with the Holy Knights is completely being ignored because Emu showed up. But like, you know, my perspective also with that is that's why I think that they're one of the objectives for Emu when it comes to Elbaf, right? Like, I used to think that the Holy Knights might get a buff, which they might still get from Emu, but I don't know if it's going to be substantial enough where I feel like them being captured is important for the next parts of Elbaf, where Emu kind of like surmounts a one-man, revolution against what Elbaf just pushed him out on. You know what I mean? So I think that it would make sense that, given where Killingham is, especially on the opposite end, that's one of the objectives, and Emu's going to be able to achieve, you know, at least collecting their own. If Emu can't collect on the Holy Knights, I'm going to be so sad.
I'm very 50-50 on that, in terms of, like, I could see Emu, like, rushing to their side and helping them, you know, and trying to, like, get them back on their feet and, like, hey, you guys need to be useful. Like, why are you failing? Whatever. But I could also see Emu just taking the Covenants back and be like, you guys failed. I need the power. Because remember, we heard that the Covenants come at a price even for Emu. And so that tells me that, like, maybe pulling them back would, you know, reduce that price or whatever, so Emu's more powerful. I'm very 50-50, because I would love to see Emu be like a good captain, like Luffy, you know, and be like, all right, guys, I'm here to save you. But also, Emu has not shown the propensity to do that very often. Like, I mean, Saturn just got vaporized, you know, so I don't know.
Well, he did that. That was a choice.
Yeah, and Sommers and Killingham did not do nearly as much damage as Saturn did to him. Like, Saturn did it, like you look at Saturn and almost like they were wondering if Lily like committed a mistake or if it was intentional. And I think the D initial was the confirmation. But for 800 years, they were just like, the great mistake, right? With Saturn, it's almost like, nah, you're throwing. You're like, you legitimately, you know, you're a baseball pitcher right now. This is crazy. You look back at those flashbacks, and it's just like, Saturn, bro. What do you mean you can't recognize a legendary Iron Giant? What do you mean? It's in the mural. What are you talking about?
You probably fought him before. Like, are you just getting senile? You just forgot? You had, you know, the dementia setting in. Like, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not
but
good.
I imagine that Emu can just teleport them back to him. Like, he doesn't have to, like, physically go save them, because he sent them there.
Probably.
Well, like, some of them were in the middle of, like, other things.
Don't make it easy. Don't make it easy for them.
Well, and actually, we'll get to this here in a little bit, because I just want to get caught up on the super chats, but I do want to go through everyone's positions right now in the arc, because that's maybe the first or second most intriguing thing to me right now, because everyone is separated from where Emu is. Like the Straw Hats are separated, the Gods Knights are separated, like, there's a lot to say there. But real quick, let me just try to get caught up a little bit more in the super chats. And thank you all for the donations. We will get to them eventually. Even if it's just me after they have to go. We will definitely read them all at some point. But Mr. Bushido with the €2. Parvision with that Jesus vibe with that hair. I agree. The flow looks nice, Par.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bushido again with the 5 euros. I think Ryuma fought Emu. I love this idea. And did some damage to him. Emu will fight Zoro and see Ryuma in him, pushing him into a rage, and then he calls him Ryuma. And I actually love this whole idea. I'm actually fully on that agenda. Because it seems like Emu calls people by their past counterparts, right? Like Rox is Davy Jones, Luffy is Joy Boy, and now we're going to have, Zoro being Ryuma. So I really love that. And even if they didn't fight one-on-one, I'm sure Emu is very familiar with Ryuma, so it could still work. And you know what? I will just jump over and show the Elbaf map because it's relevant now and I feel like talking about it. So this is everyone's position right now in the arc. So you can see on the left, there's like the Ring of Fire from Emu. And so there is a ring on the ground as well. And so I think that might lead to a birdcage situation. We can talk about that in a second. But most importantly, everyone's separated Straw Hat-wise, right? So Luffy and Loki are actually really far away over at the library in the school. Robin's MIA looking for Biblo. Then the rest of the Straw Hats are like in the middle of the branch, kind of doing other stuff, and Killingham's with them. But Zoro and Chopper are the only two that are right next to Emu among the Straw Hats. Scopper is also there, and Summers is also there. So I guess we could have, if Emu wants to save Summers, Summers is right there. Killingham is a little ways away. But Summers is also closer to death because they know about the heart, so I guess that might be kind of relevant. But I think this definitely opens the door to Zoro being the first one to fight Emu. I feel very confident in that right now. And he's also going to get ragdolled because Emu, like Oda's got to show the power scaling for Emu. And Zoro has been put close to death so many times that like if anybody's going to survive Emu, it's probably him. And it also allows for a King of Hell versus the real King of Hell type of duel, right? Like Emu can be like, nah, you ain't nothing. I'll show you what the real King of Hell does or something like that. So I think
Zoro's going to be the Demon Hunter.
Or the Minority Hunter.
Yeah.
Yet again, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, no matter what race Emu is, that would probably count because, like, the Lunarian, that would add on to what we already had. But even if Emu, is like this demon race thing, it's just like Zoro's got to get the next one, So,
and if Emu is from the underworld, that could be a pretty cool tie back to Wano when he saw the Grim Reaper. And we never really figured out what that was. Maybe.
Oh, I love
maybe
that.
he'll look at Emu and get some sort of like, I remember this feeling or something. That'd be sick.
I actually love that. I'm dying to figure out what that was. My favorite theory is still the Pluton Klabauterbahn theory, but I know that is not likely, but that would be the coolest option. But
well, what if it was just actually the Grim Reaper? Then that would mean that the underworld is real.
Yeah. Which it definitely is. I guess I would just be very curious on like the Grim Reaper's role in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like we've never seen him show up to kill anybody else, so why was he there for Zoro? Could also be the hallucination from the mink drugs because we never got any end point for that, and so I don't know. But either way, I love the idea that the Grim Reaper becomes relevant in some way. We're just even a callback. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you wonder if, like, what Oda has in store for Zoro Chopper, right? Because the other part of it, too, is that Chopper was just shown to be, like, a really solid counter against Imu's, like, derivative power. Mm-hmm. And, as much as people were saying Usopp is the target, which makes sense because, the level of pissed off that like I feel like Emu's feeling, like an Asian parent whose kid actually told them off and was right. Like Usopp was out there just yapping up a storm, and it hit home so hard that when Emu went home, Emu started lecturing their own like Gorosei, hey, pride, this, that, arrogance, we gotta throw it all away. You guys heard it from me, not anybody else. And then Emu went immediately back. And I get it, Usopp's the target, but like Chopper was out there just one hitting.
Right.
What would happen? And this is why like me and Dax had talked about this like off stream. But like the forest god powers, if it's real or if that's actually the case, then is it simply you drop Chopper off at God Valley and then everything that Roger and Garp did is just mute? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Because Chopper would just be able to one tap rocks. Is that it? Like, it can't be that simple because he's the forest god. Or if he is the forest god, is it that simple? And if that's the case, has Emu ever experienced something like that where Chopper could just like mow down and monster
Yeah.
point just all of the creations? And what does that mean for Emu themselves, right? Like, would it be that if Chopper slapped Gunko while Gunko had Emu inside, could he separate them too? You know, like in a Life
Yeah.
Return-esque way? It'd be wild to see what happens there. But I think another interesting thing are the eyes. Like Emu has all these eyes up there, and then Zoro's there. Zoro in his Ashura mode can get like 9 eyes, or not 9 eyes, 6 eyes, depending.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it's I don't know if Oda's gonna throw Zoro into the mix first. I know that's ZKI is the meme right now, but it feels weird that these are the two
It's
that are going up.
IKZ. It's IKZ. All right.
Well, I mean, the meme is ZKI.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. The meme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The meme is ZKI. The reality is IKZ. That's fine. That's fine. That I'm with. Well, I'm glad you brought up Chopper though, because that's the other side to this, right? Is like, if like of all the two Straw Hats to have near Emu, Zoro and Chopper are arguably the two most interesting. Now, Robin could also be there. Robin also has a lot of reason to be there, but like Luffy and Loki, we obviously know are going to have some beef with Emu and stuff like that. But Zoro and Chopper, like Zoro with the King of Hell stuff, and then Chopper with the Domi Reversi stuff, that's like, wow. Like Oda's putting those two, near Emu first. What's that gonna mean? In Crap Cafe, I think you and I are on the same agenda. That it's the Rumble Balls that are helping.
Definitely. And I think, well, more so the Rumble Ball was. I think we had different, takes on why the Rumble Ball was affecting them. But for me, I think it was, or my take was more the energy that allows him to alter his lineage factor. That's what I think is happening. And I want to go back because in this chapter we saw that scene of the, God, I'm forgetting the Vegapunk that the Marine that Emu has.
Oh, York.
They had their own York. There we go. York's version of the Mother Flame in the background, and I think that was like our clue for why it's relating to Chopper. Because now that we know the actual color of the Mother Flame, and it's that same pink as we saw back in Drum Island with Hero Look and his Cure All, I think that has to tie back to first off the Mother Flame being the Cure All, and then that Cure All being what's powering the Rumble Ball. So my theory, just before we found out that Chopper was going to cure the Rumble Ball, was that he might create like an aerosol version of it, like he did with the Chopper phage back in Wano against the Ice Onis. And then he could just do like an aerosol version of the Rumble Ball. And if he just shoots Emu with it, I wonder what will happen. But it could also just be a good boost for everyone around him. And just get rid of all the...
I'm so...
Dealer Chopper. Drug dealer Chopper memes go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Aerosols the cocaine meth,
yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
that's wild. Never would have aerosol inhaler cocaine. Get me on. Then I'm joking. But like, Beppo would he'd be shilling out so much money for that. He bought the dope, bro.
Oh, Carrot's gonna be like, yo, we need. I need to put those all over Zoe. Just in case next time Jack comes, he's done for. It doesn't matter if they come in the daytime again.
That's what Zunisha's gonna be for. She's gonna spray drugs on everybody.
Oh my god!
Didn't come to put down Onigashima's fire, but came to spray for a good time.
Oh god! Oh, I don't even want to get into that, man. Raizo used Zunisha's water to do it when Zunisha was right there. That's one of those things from Oda that I don't know what he was thinking. But actually, I'm really glad you brought up. The potential of shooting the Rumble Ball at Emu or, turning into a mist or whatever. But affecting Emu with it, because there's also a super chat that ties to this that I wanted to mention. From Axe M, the Canadian 279. And we will get to all the ones before this, but this one just fits here. He said, special attack Tabasco Star will take down Emu. But let me throw you a very similar idea, which is that, Usopp shoots the Rumble Ball Star. Because it also looks like a typical... Usopp ammo, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little pellet thing. And so I feel like Usopp taking down Emu. I saw someone say UKI. I feel like that's gotta be how we get out of this is Usopp.
I hadn't considered the idea that he might be the target of Emu now that he's coming back. But if he is, and then with Chopper already in the circle with Emu, he could just throw him a couple and just let Usopp do his. I mean, the issue is apparently all of his bones have been broken, so we might have to fix that first.
That's never
Wrap
stopped him
like
before.
Zoro. It never has.
Nope.
We'll pull it back with his teeth.
You go back to like what was it, the beginning of Wano with ulti and stuff, and like he gets his whole skull cracked, and then he's just up like minutes later running through and just taking
a fracture,
taking down people. Yeah, I mean it's never stopped him before. He's got the quickest healing factor in the whole series.
He's a tough man.
But yeah,
I mean, what I like about Usopp is the birdcage situation, and then Usopp being a sharpshooter. Like, it's just one of those lines. It's like where he says you have to do everything with your own means, your own weapons, and then like him landing a substantial shot. I mean, when we got that scene with him and Emu, it felt a lot like the Douglas Bullet scene from Stampede, where Usopp was just like, standing up alone. Luffy shows up. Luffy not explains, but like justifies Usopp's like participation.
Yeah.
And then the end fight was essentially instigated by Usopp's small contribution that had been like seeded into Douglas Bullet, and it could be similar situation to Emu. I mean, Emu showing up themselves in it, like that's. If Emu never did that, they would be impervious. You know what I mean? Emu showing up is a weakness of its own, because now, if Luffy and Loki have the ability to, now they can actually land a blow that matters. But prior to, before when he was inside Gunko, Emu was safe. So in the sense, Usopp's already done the most important thing, which is getting Emu to be like, you know what? He's right. I'm gonna show up in my own pants. And so, and it's an Elbaf pant. So that's also another or Elbaf belt, whatever it is. So, that's another whole thing that Usopp brought us this reveal. That's what people need to realize.
Right. This just came to me while you were talking, but could you imagine so now that we saw like that flame circle around Emu, since Usopp is outside of it, if we got like a parallel to Eni's lobby, when he's like sniping Marines from like the Tower of Justice, like a mile away.
Yes.
But again, in Elbaf, where he's even further. I mean, that would be elite. Just him like sniping a rumble ball to Emu's mouth from that far.
Yeah, well,
or sniping the Dami reverses, and then the Dami reverses go from, oh, this feels so good, but these drugs are much better. Like they just.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Usopp is really far from where Emu is, so it would be kind of crazy if Usopp is, because he's down for the count right now, so maybe like they leave him and he's just kind of like left on his own for a little bit, and then he comes in clutch at the very end. I love that. I love that a lot. All right, real quick, I want to speed run a couple super chats here because I am very behind, but thank you guys very much. Mr. Bushido with the €2 said, Emu with all the Madara vibes, and I do agree. Now, vibes I agree with. Hopefully everything doesn't, pan out the same way as it did with Madara and the end of Naruto and everything, but I definitely get the vibes for sure. Trevor Verges,
it's setting up to be the better version.
Yes, I agree. And the fact that we've known Emu has existed for 8 years is like already a big difference, right? Because it's like, like there's a long time, like run time now where we have been waiting for this. And also the world government's been around for like since the beginning of the story. So we've kind of known we have to defeat them eventually. So definitely a different setup, but I agree. Similar vibes for sure.
Let's just all pray there's no black Zetsus.
Yes. Which well, we'll see. I doubt it. Maybe. But maybe, but hopefully not, or at least not the same kind. Same situation. Trevor Verges, artist for the channel, appreciate you, man, with the $10. Mu is an automaton created by the ancient kingdom to expand rule, and I like this because it ties back to what we were talking about with the moon, right? Because there's the pressure gauge difference and all that kind of stuff. And he said he used Domi Reversi to flip 19 other kingdoms to his side, but couldn't flip his own king. Emu also has a metal heart. That's why we're seeing this right now. I love the idea that Emu either is an automata or that like the ancient kingdom was making really strong automata, and Emu saw the writing on the wall and was like, well, if they get hold of this, we're all cooked, and I can't let them. I got to take it all over. I'm sort of like 50-50 on it, but I definitely think, going back to the moon, where Enel goes up to the moon and he finds these automata. And now he has a whole army of them now, right? I think that's definitely paralleling Emu, where Emu somehow like lucked into, or like cooked
This would
somebody to
allow
take all those
Chopper
robots.
to finally like sneak in and just hide amongst them, because I feel like I've been waiting for him to do that ever since I saw them.
Because he looks
That'd
just like
be
him, right?
fantastic. Yeah, it's like, I mean, what else could that be for him, other than him eventually needing to do a little solo stealth mission?
Yeah. Which, I guess I'll just ask you guys, do you think Enel is going to come back this arc? Do you think all these parallels mean that Enel is going to return? Or is it the opposite? Is it more of a sign that, like with all these parallels, maybe Enel won't, but, Oda's just kind of building on it? Or do you think he is going to kind of show up and maybe explain some of the stuff he learned,
I don't think he's going to show up here. I think we're going to him. I think now that Emu is like finally arriving, maybe Elbath is just going to start burning and everyone's just going to start rushing up the tree. And then that's how we're going to finally get to the heavenly celestial realm and make it to space. And then from there, I think we're going to the moon. So that's where I think we're going to NL, or at least somewhere on the way.
And I hope you're right. I would love a moon arc, even if it's like a quick, like, Zoe-esque arc, where we go there and it's like craziness the whole most of the time, and we're just like only up there for a little bit and we leave. I think that would just be so compelling and so much fun. Also, Scuba, I saw you just said you want the Enel cover story animated. I would be very surprised if it's not animated by the time we get to the stuff we're seeing right now in the story, because if you go back, like Wapple's cover story, that happened like in the pre-time skip, I think, but I can't remember exactly when it was, but we didn't get it animated for hundreds of chapters later. We didn't get it animated until it became relevant, till the animation team was like, well, you're going to have to know what happened with Wapple for all this Reverie stuff to make sense, so let's show you that real quick. And I think it's going to be the same thing here, where the animation team was probably just like, hey, well, why would we show it, 15 years ago in like real time when it's not going to be relevant till later? So I think they're going to do it now, and with the way the new anime is, the way it looks and stuff, I think it'd be pretty awesome to have the Enel cover story done now, as opposed to before. So I hope it does. I'd be very surprised if it never does, and I can't imagine that Enel would show up and then like they wouldn't do it before that. So hopefully it's soon.
Yeah, Nell's just a weird character for me because his power is so simple. Like,
yeah,
he's kind of a mother flame on his own, and we never got any context that would say otherwise. So like, it's not like his limitations where he got tired or he like had a time limit. It looked like he could nuke an island repeatedly if Luffy didn't stop him, right? Like that. I forgot the Raijin, a giant ball of lightning thing. That took no effort, and that in and of itself is like it's kind of a weird situation too with Ragnar, because Ragnar also doubles with Kuzan, and Kuzan, now it's like, can he unflash freeze people? We know he can probably we know that he can flash freeze them because of Saul, essentially, but like Ragnar is said to be the only person right now to unflash them. So it's like similar to that, where it's like, dang, so now Loki's has this giant lightning strike. Does that just like, if Enel were there and he did that lightning strike, would Enel be like, all right, I'm out, guys. You guys don't need me in the story anymore?
Well, that's where I think Enel's awakening might come in, because obviously with him being a Logia, it's going to be a little bit different, and we haven't seen Logia awakenings yet. And so I don't know, with like the way that Enel was sort of untouchable, in the pre-time skip, it would be kind of cool if he was the first Logia awakening to come back and be like, well, guess what, I'm untouchable again because I got extra powers now or something. I think that'd be really cool. But about the flash freeze, the way I kind of understood it is like if you look at Gunko, she gets put into like a block of ice right away, right? It's instantly, it's like a block. But if you go look at Kuzan like freezing Saul, it's not like that. He like gets frozen over like a statue, like slowly, kind of like a little bit like Mr. 3 sort of. And so I think that's the main difference, is like I don't know if Kuzan could undo, or he might be able to undo the ice, but the giants would just be dead probably for whatever reason.
Overarching point is that Ragnar kind of mogs Kuzan a little bit, and the same similar thing with Enel, where Enel, his whole character was being this impervious god, which he no longer is by
Yeah.
any stretch. Like he shows up in front of Zoro, Zoro cooks him. You know what I mean? And it's just like Enel would go back to the moon faster than he went up. You know what I mean?
But I think that'd be so cool to
Zoro.
see, because we saw Zoro fight Lucci. I think that would be fitting.
Yeah, but like
I'd like
Lucci's
to
a
see-
jaguar. Lucci's a jaguar and Enel's a lightning god. You know what I mean? There's a little bit different. And Lucci awakened to it, but like that's why it's like if Enel fought Lucci pre-time skip, Enel would cook his ass. But now that's not even. It's Lucci would be standing over him with his blood splattered on the floor. Unless Enel went into an automata instigated training arc, or he's been fighting space pirates for the last like 2 years, which could be the case, but that is something that, like, you know, as far as just filling us in, Enel shows up and it's like, oh, by the way, guys, I had my own anime arc. I had my own anime story. See it on the cover story next time on, you know, like, it's just one of those things where Enel has a lot of, you can't bring him back like Crocodile and Cross Guild. He there's a lot of weight to bring him back, especially now that like one of the metrics of power is just raw energy, which he is. So you know, all the other Logias besides Aces is nowhere near like Mother Flame except for Enel. If Vegapunk had his hands on Enel, he would ring him out, man. He'd be like, how much money do I need for Logia recreation? Green blood? Ooh.
Well, you think back to the moon too, right? Where the space pirates had like their Jolly Roger looked like Vegapunk's head. And then also there's the Dr. Tsukimi thing, which ties to Vegapunk as well, right? Where he was interested in the moon. So it's like there definitely is a tie with Vegapunk and the moon somewhere. And so and actually Vegapunk's gonna come back. And so whenever Vegapunk meets Enel, if that does happen, they gotta have a big discussion, like about the moon and the power source stuff, and probably the Arc Maxim as well. Like, there's so much for them to talk about, you know, with each other. So,
do you guys think Vegapunk is coming back anytime soon? Like, he might show up before like we settle this thing with Emu?
I have no idea. I feel like Oda's just gonna bring him back whenever he feels like. Like, does it make sense for Vegapunk to pop up right when Emu gets here?
Yes.
I guess, yeah. I mean, because then he can see him and you know, talk about him. So, like, because we know that he's going to get cloned at some point. So, like I said, Oda's going to make him pop up whenever he feels like. So, he will be here this arc, I would imagine, soon.
My question for Vegapunk is, like, it seems like they didn't know Emu, but how much of Emu did they, you know, deal with, in the sense of like, did Saturn give Vegapunk in my like newest video, I question how silly it would be if Emu has some kind of disease and relied on Saturn, given what we got of Saturn, when you have the world's smartest man under your, for what, 20 plus years under your payroll, and they were doing anything and they had no qualms with it. They built you a nuke and you have some disease that you needed solved, and finally the guy who's 500 years in the future is here, and he can get you probably insanely closer than Saturn ever could have, and he didn't do anything. Or did they do something and we just didn't really like deal with that or see with it? Because there are stuff that Vegapunk did, there's things that Vegapunk did that we have no idea about, which is like putting devil fruits in inanimate objects, right? We never touched that. So the question is that part relevant to Emu? Is that why we didn't touch that? But, you know, when it comes to our only like inkling, it's like the sapphire scale disease, which that doesn't even make sense either, because Vegapunk solved that within seconds. He was like, oh, I just need to do like a skin graft, I just need like donor cells and whatever. And it's like, okay, so then Emu can't possibly be ailed by this because it was solved so easily, unless it was like Emu doesn't have the right donor. Is that why they need Vivi? I don't know. Like, I put up that question, but at the same time, it could be Emu's just the gooner, especially now that we know she's not a lady. So,
yeah,
you know, it's not Dami Mommy. It could be Gooner, Boomer. We don't know. But
yeah,
do you think there's any connection to Emu and the Eve tree? Because maybe it's just like he's now removed himself from its power, or maybe energy, and that's why he's suffering damage.
Yeah, well, it could tie back to Hero Luck, right? Like maybe the Eve tree has a similar effect as the trees that Hero Luck found, and that's tying, like, that's why Emu, whenever he leaves, he starts dying, because it's like he's away from his cure, he's away from his medicine, you know what I mean? And so he starts getting sick again. I mean,
or even the title of his power, it's like Devil's Fruit. Maybe he's like literally the fruit of this tree, and he has to like remain connected to it. And if he's away from it, he's
I
slowly
would
rotting.
like it. I would like it if Chopper did Brain Point. We bring that back, and then he hits.
Please.
Because Emu's bleeding right now. If Chopper hits him with the Brain Point, could he like figure it out and then see like, oh, it seems like they have a power source.
Yeah.
Like they're too far from their, the sunlight. And it's like, huh? What do you mean the sunlight's right there, Chopper? It's like something else. And then we're like, the sunlight tree Eve. Perfect,
Yeah.
But I do find it interesting because you would think that if there was any place for Emu to be like sort of okay, it'd be with the Adam tree, because like Adam and Eve, but like I guess maybe that's the problem. Maybe Adam's just so like toxic masculine, you know what I mean? So it's like
yeah, or going back to the cure thing, maybe Adam is the one that's actually curing things, and going back to the Chopper Domi Reversey stuff, it could be similar where it's like the Adam tree gives off like a similar vibe or whatever as the Rumble Balls do, so Emu can't be like close to it because it's like the same thing as Domi Reversey being close to somebody who ate the Rumble Balls. You know what I'm saying? That would be interesting too, because there's a lot of tree focus this arc, weirdly enough, I feel like. So like especially with Drum Island, the Mountain Eater thing with Scopper, if that really all ties to Drum Island, then we got tons of Hero Luck and Kureha stuff to
maybe
out.
That's why Emu's on the castle now, because it's like as far away from the branch that they can go. Like without, but then why aren't they just flying at that point?
Well, I think he's at the castle because of the Herald's Rune.
The circle.
No, I'm saying like they went to the top of the castle. They're like, Adam tree, and then went to the roof because it's like further away. But then I would like the Adam tree.
Emu went there for one reason, for aura. That was the only reason Emu went up to the spire. It was like, it's time to flex and have the craziest intro in One Piece history,
Oda's been waiting 1,000 years to beat Itachi's pose.
For real.
Though I would like it if it's Adamwood tree related a little bit. Maybe there's there's multiple reasons, but because then they can't step foot on the 1,000 Sunny. It'd be kind of cool.
I like that too.
Like just having a little protective measure.
Hey, one other thing I'll also throw out there is like, since we're here with the Adam tree, and obviously there's a lot of Skypiea connections this arc, and obviously the Sunny is made of Adam Wood. I wonder if this is where we're going to see the Sunny's Klabautermon, and I think it'd be really cool if that had some connection with Emu. Like, I don't know what it would, like, not that like they're going to fight, but just like maybe it clutches up at a certain moment to help the crew away from Emu, right? To like move the Sunny and help the crew out. Or it could be that Emu sees it and is like, oh, you guys have a Klabautermon, so you must be, like a special type of people or something like that. Like,
you don't know how much I would love that, because I had that video about the 1,000 Sunny being alive a long time ago, and then Film Red gave it like a full character. You don't know how much I'd love to see the 1,000 Sunny beat the brakes off of Emu for no damn reason. Dude. It's so funny.
Well, the fact we saw Sunny-kun in Film Red, which I feel like has a lot of ties to what we're seeing right now, is actually more evidence potentially that this might be where we see the Klabautermon. Because not that Sunny-kun was the Klabautermon, but it felt like that sort of.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, I know I said it earlier, but
the Sunny on your map?
I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I don't know where it is. I would
love to see it just drift on a cloud over.
Oh, that would be so cool. Like, I think it is near the where Emu is though. From what I remember, because remember they took the Sunny up on the Rainbow Bridge up to that area, and then I don't think they've been on it since, right? Or no, they took the Great Eric. Right, never mind. So I guess we don't know. It was the Great Eric.
But the Sunny, I think, was
was it next to it? I can't remember because remember they got separated.
Gerd carried the Sunny from the jail.
You're right. It's probably up there where Emu is, if I had to guess.
Wherever. Hey,
the castle or village. It's one of the two.
Yeah.
One end.
All right. I know I said it earlier, but now I'm really gonna try to speed run through some super chats here because it's about to be. We got a big stack here, so I don't want to leave you guys hanging. So. Scuba 7236 with the $5. Thank you very much, Scuba. Do y'all think Oda is an insider? We got the Emu reveal the same week as Artemis 2 going around the moon. tease for Emu having Lunarian and Moon People ties. Well, I'll also throw this on there that the official reveal of the Devil Emu was on Easter Sunday. So Oda might have just been cooking on several layers there, you know, to do it. So I mean, I do think Oda, like, I don't know if he's, you know, planning on it like way ahead of time, but I do think he likes lining these things up because it makes it a little bit cooler, you know. So math piece is a thing. Shout out Randy Troy. So Oda definitely pays it, like, tries to time up his releases when he can. Mr. Bushido with the €2. Emu is what happens when a Devil Fruit Awakening takes over, and I like that because, you know, we saw that in Impel Down, like with the Jailer Beast. You know, like Zone Awakenings can take you over your whole body, and Shaka also brought this up. So that'd be kind of cool that we're actually seeing, like, it's not really Emu in charge right now, I guess is kind of maybe what he's saying. Like, this is, you know, the Devil Fruit itself taking Emu over. I like that.
Like the swirl in his hair, because that's usually like a characteristic of like like Luffy and his Nika form.
Yeah,
outside of that.
Yeah, I like that. That would actually be really cool, because that's not something we've really had explored very much. Now, it would kind of be iffy if Emu, the god of the world, can't control it, but that could be sort of the story behind it. You know, like now we have to almost save Emu, which I know sounds weird, but I think that'd be kind of interesting. Like, somebody recognizes that Emu's being controlled,
or maybe he is Joy Boy and he's got taken over. That's why he has the hat.
That's crazy. That would be real crazy. Emu is actually Joy Boy, but got taken over. And then that would also be kind of iffy too, though, just because, well, for one thing, we know that Joy Boy was supposed to have the Nika fruit, so there would be like multiple, but also like kind of same thing as Emu. Like, if they got taken over by the fruit, so you're telling me that Lucci can control his awakening, but Emu or Joy Boy can't? And now it could be that, like, there's mismatching wills or whatever, right? But either way, I don't know. I like the idea nonetheless, for sure. Spencer 5175. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna like Emu's. I don't know. I was just looking at it now because Emu has like all those dots on them, especially in the cleaned up version. You can see them a lot more. Like, do you guys have any ideas about that, or it's just cool design, or do you think that there's something behind those dots?
Well,
so those are like actual like demon runes that have like been established. They're not like literal ones, but that's kind of what he's mimicking. Like I think it's the Ars Geosha or the Book of Solomon. Or Key
what about, but like on his body, like throughout his body, like on his forearm, you can see like the 6 dots, and then on his chest and neck, you can see like the circles all going like it's like a grid pattern.
Yeah, if we're basing it, or if we assume that like the demonic sigils or whatever it was called, the thing that I tied to RuneScape with the demonic packs, because like their art looks the exact same. It looks like nodes kind of connecting to one another. I think the idea is like you can connect the dots in different ways to make different symbols that do different things, that are like named different things. And so maybe Emu will be able to connect those dots and be like, all right, I want to use like, maybe it's almost like every devil fruit power has a different symbol. And, you know, obviously we don't know any of this for sure, but just as an idea.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, so then Emu was like, well, I want to use this power now, and then you see the dots connect in a certain way, and then Emu wants to switch to a different devil fruit, and then the dots reconnect in a different way, right? I think that would line up with the sigil thing. So
you could also hack Emu then, because then I could see Luffy just start pushing her buttons and then just like, you know,
connect like, random ones.
yeah, exactly.
Random stuff.
Hold him down and then just start tickling him.
And then Emu like uses like the jacket fruit or like other random powers that are just like we've been naming on.
Tell me that's not how Luffy would fight. He would push his buttons, tickle him so he'd laugh, and then if he knew that was effective. How funny would that be? You just tickle Emu and then all those buttons just start getting pushed.
Emu turned into the jacket fruit, that'd be peak.
That would actually be hilarious. Emu does the jacket fruit and then goes around like one of the God's Knights just because. Would actually be hilarious.
They kind of already like that, right? Like Saturn and Gunko have been their jackets. Well, in reverse, I guess. Or no, I mean, Emu was their jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of cooking, actually. Hey, jacket fruit Emu. Sign me up.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I'd wear that jacket.
Just kind of like now noticing this, but in like the last panel, it kind of looks like there's just like a beam of light above Emu, kind of like when it's like his distant silhouette. Do you think it could have anything to do with like Innie's lobby and like Marineford? Because we haven't seen it, or not Marineford. Marijois? Because we've never seen it at night up there either.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I didn't notice it either. Yeah, it looks like a aura of light.
Well, it's tough because he does have the ring of like the pentagram circle above him, and so I don't know if that's what that's tying to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's glowing or something like that.
It'd be cool if
Um,
there's just a constant beam of light on him.
Next super chat from Spencer5175. Moo split himself up like Vegapunk into the different races. Wow, I've never heard that one before. I've definitely heard that, you know, like Emu and Vegapunk are paralleling, where, like, you know, the Gorosei and the Gods Knights and stuff are like his satellites. Could be why there's only like 13 of them. Maybe Emu can only split themselves up so many different times or something like that. But into the different races is interesting. Even if it's not like Vegapunk, it could be that like Emu's like the progenitor of some of the races if he really is like a combination of a bunch of different ones. Like, I guess it kind of depends what happened in the Void Century, but that's actually really interesting. I kind of like that. I do like the whole angle where, you know, the world government has been subjugating all these different races, and then if Emu ties to him, I just think that's like, that would just, I don't know, I love the demon angle, but I almost love that more from like the thematic point of view. Time Lord with the $5 super chat. Reminds me of Hidden's theory. The 20 kings tried to summon a demon to defeat the ancient kingdom. They got Emu by coincidence or fate, and they suffered because of it. Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing that kind of confuses me about the devil's fruit part, is like, if there is a devil fruit, that kind of, I mean, they could have easily still summoned a demon and stuff, but it's like, where does that tie in then? Because that would tell me that was like made, you know, like we have all these other devil fruits and stuff, so it's sort of like, I don't know, just where if Emu's a devil because of the fruit, then did they summon the fruit, or did they, you know what I mean? Like, where's the story there? But I definitely think there's some part of that because of Brooks' time skip and all that is like a parallel with the Long Arm tribe. I think it was Long Arm, not Long Leg. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I like it. I just, like I said, I don't know how the devil's fruit fits in is kind of my big question there for sure. The Legend Eli for $5. I watch your videos all the time, Dak. Also, Crap Cafe. It seems like the Gorosei no Emu has a chance of dying right here. Also, Garling is plotting. Yeah, and I know we talked about this a little bit before, but yeah, it does, like, the way they're reacting, it's like, it really, like, it feels like they really think Emu could die from this. And, like, obviously Emu is taking the chance here, but, you know, with Emu being all powerful, the way they reacted really makes it feel like there's a huge risk here, you know, like, because like the Gorosei go no problem, and they came back no problem. I mean, they got kind of cooked, but like they came back and they're not like dead or any closer to death really. But for Emu, I mean, I don't know, like I can't see Emu dying yet, but it really feels like they think, you know, there's a chance.
I think that they just know Emu is mortal in like the lower realm. And if he dies, it kind of feels like it's just self-preservation for them. But and then, you know, Garling is the only one among them who's been mortal recently. I feel like he's just a bit tougher than the rest.
But it's kind of like whenever Emu came up, you know, spitting up blood, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, obviously this hurts Emu to even come here, right? And so, yeah, I don't know. This is maybe the most interesting thing to me about Emu is,
you know, if he was a space alien, it could be a pressure thing because you know, if they're in the atmosphere, there's like no pressure, and then coming all the way down to the lower realm, it'd be significantly more.
With Emu coming to another part of me, especially before we knew that Emu would come back to Elbaf. Not that point, but like when Emu was inside Gunko. At that point, it was always kind of like Elbaf was in an interesting state, because I would always tell people who were looking forward to Usopp moments, like an Usopp power feat or an Usopp, like, you know, hockey bloom type thing. Not what Usopp got there. That was awesome. But I would always say, like, I don't know how much you would want from Usopp when Emu's here, because if Usopp looks good, he's looking good against Emu, which isn't great for Emu, and it would be like the Gorosei on Egghead all over again.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where I'm a little like not saddened, but the fact that Emu feels it necessary that they need to show up themselves. And I was laughing about it with Sai about when people thought that Emu wasn't like when Emu went back to the Holy Land and it was like, oh, they're gonna go somewhere else. I think like Sai held a poll, like 7,000 voters, and 30 or 40% of people said that Emu was not coming back to Elbaf. And so then we were like, okay, so what are they gonna do? Send the admirals? Or are they gonna send like all the Gorosei again? And now Loki's there, and it's just kind of interesting because especially with Shamrock, his whole role at Meridraw being sheltered or veiled from us again. The main thing is like, is Emu the only thing possible to stop Luffy and Loki right now? And like, what's if you solve the Emu like being away from home and having like damage done to them, like what's left for them to do if Luffy and Loki look good here, right? So then Emus has to look really, really amazing, and despite having the shortcoming of the blood coming out. So it's just there's so many interesting things as Oda's doing with that it's like if Emu beats Luffy and Loki while having a handicap,
exactly.
like I don't know. It's kind of wild.
We need that though, in my opinion, because like the Straw Hats have felt way too powerful in the post time skip. If you ask me, like I not once, except for maybe Kaido in Act 1, have I ever felt like damn, how are the Straw Hats gonna possibly get past this? Like even in Egghead, it was just like I know we're gonna get out of here at some point. Like we haven't, other than Vegapunk, like none of the Straw Hats even were like close to death at all, really. So I just think like, I don't know. I want Emu to just cook this entire time. And like you said, even if he is sick, so then we're left like, damn, he beat us and he's not at 100%. Yeah, I want to be in that space.
We can't beat him while he's sick. That wouldn't be fun. So we have to wait till he recovers to like officially beat him. So we have to lose him. So
we have to lose. But then and then in that state, right? Like for me, I feel like the other part of the Gorosei like not wanting Emu to come, rather than it being that Emu's just mortal or they can lose, because it feels like Emu has to win here. I feel like it's more just embarrassment that they have to allow their captain to do everything for them, which I feel like is an issue of the Holy Knights in the first place. Like Emu banning the Holy Knights from going to Elbaf when there was a threat. It's kind of like Luffy would never do that. You know what I mean? If like Zoro and the gang said that they would go, Luffy wouldn't be like, oh, like, holding them back from testing themselves or challenging themselves. Yeah, there's a threat of dying for sure, but I feel like that might be Emu's issue in the first place. Like the games that they hold are against slaves, and like that's not how they get stronger. They might think that they're strong, but like they're not. And so maybe the Gorosei were saying all that just so that, like, because they felt like embarrassed that they required. But at the same time, it's like, bro, thank God the Gorosei didn't come back with Garling just to get their ass wiped,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how Oda does this, because even with like the Gods Knights, like after we left Egghead, I felt like we were like, all right, the Gods Knights are gonna be, the real deal. That's like our next big, challenge. And now they're kind of getting memed on already. So, I feel like Oda's got some legwork to make us feel scared a little bit, Cloud Lizard with the $5 super chat, and this one I actually think is really interesting because your last thought gave me an idea. But you said so many thoughts. Pressure gauge could be sealing heat from the heart, kind of keeping the nights cold or devilish. Also, Nami used magnetism in Skypiea to deflect, and I'm going to be honest, I don't remember this at all, but I'm going to trust that you're right. And it made me think of something else, which is, have you guys noticed that it seems like the Gods Knights are kind of weak to electricity? Like, we haven't really, like, it's not 100%, but, like, Harold died to a giant lightning strike from Loki, right? And then whenever Luffy hit Summers with a lightning punch, all the powers went away that were holding the kids together, so, like, his powers got nullified by lightning again. Like, Luffy hit him with the Booming Dawn Thor rifle or whatever, and that canceled it. And it made me start thinking, now that we know they're also, maybe cyborgs and maybe magnetic, well, like electromagnetism is a pretty big thing, you know what I mean? So going back to Nami, because she obviously has lightning powers, and Elle also, I don't know if that's part of it, because like if they're magnetic and then they get hit with electricity, like, or even if they're just cyborgs, it all messes with them, maybe.
Yeah, I think what Nami did was like she used like her static bubble to make like a path for the electricity to follow. I know that it was magnetism.
I guess technically electric field gradient type of deal.
Yeah, electromagnetism.
Close. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe that's why they lose to lightning, or at least they have in 2 instances. Like, again, I'm not confident enough to say that lightning is like the ultimate counter, like it's Sea Stone, but the fact that, you know, one died to lightning and one's powers got nullified by lightning, that's enough for me to start like raising my eyebrows. So,
did we ever see Harold's body afterwards?
Oh,
he was covered by like a
did
tarp.
Harold even?
Yeah, he might have just blown him up, and there's just no heart left.
Oh yeah, like the electricity just blew up. Like, so yeah, that's another question. So like, do new Gods Knights that get a covenant, do their hearts turn into the steel one?
The steel part, it's so confusing
interesting.
how it's relating to devils and contracts and whatsoever. Like, it's so strange.
I mean, technically, we don't even know yet if that's just a Somers exclusive. You know what I mean? Like, it could be that's not a Holy Knight. Everyone has that. It could be because, like, with Killingham, he is split up, but we don't necessarily know about the heart situation. I would assume that he, at this point, prior it wasn't really confirmed, but now that he's like split up the way he is, it's like, yeah, maybe they're all the same.
Do you guys think they move the heart through their body to avoid damage? Like if you're gonna like stab them in the head, they just move the heart to like their chest, so then that doesn't hurt them. Or if you're gonna stab their chest, they move the heart up. Or
it'd just be Pika. It'd be Pika again,
right?
And then that's so easy. But that, like, for me, that's a little wonky because then it's worse than Pika, because Pika can, like, you know, at least be sentient. Like, it's not like Somers can control his heart, but like he can move it around, sure. But when Zoro was fighting Pika, part of it was like he could actually block with a blade if he wanted to, but the heart can't. And so, like, I don't know if I'd want a worse version of Pika as the Holy Knight's, like, not gimmick, but at that point it would be kind of gimmicky. So but you know, I don't know what we could possibly get.
Blow up their whole body at once would be able to like easily defeat them. So I feel like it can't just be it.
Yeah.
Why couldn't Garp use a Galaxy Impact just to destroy a Holy Knight?
Yeah, I'm sure Rox would have killed Garling if like if that's the case, right? Yeah, because and that's the other thing. Like you would think that like against Rox, I know, like, yeah, Garling fought one of the strongest people in the world in the verse in history, but at the same time, it's like that was Rox. He wanted the smoke. He wanted to kill. Like, if he couldn't have figured that out, like, that's such an easy thing to figure out. I feel like if I was in the verse, the first thing I'd be like, where's their heart at? Like, you know, it's like the zombie thing. You chop off their head, you aim for the heart. It's like those are the two things. And it's like Rox couldn't get it, you know.
Like, we just saw them doing it to all the Domi Reversi people. Like, why weren't they trying to kill the Gods Knights?
Yeah, he killed his own family. Why was he trying to kill Garling?
Here's an idea I just thought of. So what if, you know how Emu has that freezer that we only know the Straw Hat's in there, and there's probably other rooms and stuff. I wonder if the situation is like, whenever you become a Gods Knight, Emu's able to like swap your real heart for the steel one, and then the real one gets put on ice somewhere, so that way it's not like, you know, aging anymore. And then that's why, like, that heart, like, that's the whole system. Like, you get immortality because of that, not even demon magic, which I think this actually leads to like a bigger discussion where I'm personally starting to look at everything like, all right, none of this is magic. It's all science, because the science advanced enough to seem like magic. And that's why, like, there is a reason everything we're seeing. We just don't know it yet. And so that one, I think it's a similar thing where, like, they're able to almost do like a heart transplant, put the real one on ice. Because just like with Law, like, even though he can like use, you know, his abilities to separate the heart, it's like still functioning sort of. And I think it's a similar thing. They just put the real one, they hide it away. But even then, like, you would have to wonder, well, why does stabbing the steel one kill them then? Because if the real one's okay, then it wouldn't. But regardless, the freezer's got to mean something, I feel like. And we already know that getting frozen preserves your body, so I think there's something there, even if that's not like exactly it, for sure.
So I can't wait to see like the raid of Marijol where we finally go down there and investigate, start opening up some doors. Like, it's gonna be so cool.
Morley could have done that, by the way. Morley could have been digging around, but they didn't. So, but on the freezer body thing, actually, my last theory video talked about this from the scope of Damirverse, where once we got that shadowy figure separating out from the giant that Chopper slapped, then it became a whole like, okay, so how are shadows involved? And as most people know, I love talking about the shadow stuff.
Yep.
And one of the things that I brought up was that it might be that the metric in which the Damiurverse works, if it's all geared by Emu, then maybe the Holy Knights are operating by the same thing. And so the chapter before we saw the whole Sommer's Heart thing, I was saying that what if these aren't their real bodies, and it's not like an astral projection type thing, but instead their bodies are being maneuvered by their shadows, and their real bodies are safe somewhere else. And so Freezer would be a good option, right? You preserve their bodies like that. And then the steel heart is like the main thing that connects, like makes that body work. I'm not necessarily too certain on how, because like they still bleed and they still like have pain. So like that's where it gets weird. The heart part is weird. But the reason why I like that idea, and the reason why I actually thought about it originally, the whole shadow stuff, was chapter 1149, and I have the panel actually pulled up behind me, where when Scopper's fighting, let me move my head back. When Scopper's fighting Sommers, his Conqueror's Hockey Blast doesn't stop at Sommers the way that Luffy does when Luffy hits him. It actually goes past him. And that always like shook me. I was like, why is this Conqueror's Hockey just slicing through him? Almost as if Scopper wasn't aiming for him. And so I was saying that, what if Scopper was aiming for the shadow, and that's how he was able to debilitate him? That's how he figured out how to beat the Holy Knights, but he couldn't necessarily figure out the heart part, which I didn't know about the heart part when I made the video.
Yeah.
So the point is that like maybe there's a whole shadow metric where the shadow is the main thing that ties them to their main body, is that their shadow is the one that's operating them, and their shadow follows their main body. So like maybe that's how they're able to feel pain or feel like some kind of effect. But if you just hit their real body, it doesn't work, because you're not hitting them. You have to hit their shadow, which will always be tied to the main body. So it's very it's still, again, like I want to see how Oda plays, especially with like Damiurverse and the new domain of effect that seems like Emu's putting up right now. So
which that's something we're gonna get to here soon, because I think we kind of talked about it earlier with everyone's like where they're at, but I feel like that Ring of Fire, a lot of people have said it's like Emu's domain expansion. I feel like there's a lot to say about that area, like whether there's a barrier or it is like a domain expansion. Like I feel like there's definitely some takeaways there for sure. By the way, guys, I know I told you that it was going to be roughly 2 hours, and we're at the mark, because we originally planned on 1:30. So if you guys got to go, feel free, because we're past the 3:30 mark. But I'm going to keep going here for a little bit, or probably for a while, to be honest. But you guys can dip out whenever you guys need to. But let's see. Analytic media, I'm going to get to yours in a second, just because I do want to talk about that. But I'm going to get off the Emu topic first. But I do want to talk about that. His super chat's about Garling and the Marine HQ, because I got a lot of theories about that. So just give me 1 second. Mr. Bushido for the €5. Summer's body reminds me of how the Germa body works. Like when Sanji kicked Yanji, we see Yanji's face dents in like a car in a car crash. And that actually tied to the theory I shared earlier about like the Iron Sand sort of idea. Like, is that like, are they, like a cyborg Logia sort of thing? Because whenever whenever the anybody with regeneration heals, it says crack, crack. It doesn't say like that's the sound effect. And you think back to Germa, they like cracked themselves back into place, right? Like they rebent all their body part. Like if their head was all smashed in, they got like a hammer and like, or even Sanji, like during Wano, he like just cracked it back into place, right? And so it kind of feels like that's sort of like a cyborg thing. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. That's a big reason why I like that idea about the Iron Sand or something similar. Cloud Lizard for $5. What if Vegapunk couldn't recreate Logias? Because Logias are mythical or god fruits without a sustainable body or vessel, and that's why Blackbeard or Luffy or Buggy or Moria are special. I mean, it's tough because, like, have we seen a mythical? Well, yeah, Kaido's. We've seen a mythical fruit get duplicated before, right? And so I guess going to this, like, I feel like that's telling us Logias are separate than mythical or god fruits, but I do like there's not like a suitable body or vessel part, because Logias are like nature incarnate. You know what I'm saying? Like they like you're getting the power and like the properties of an element, and that is like obviously really weird. So so I honestly don't know why, like, what the struggle is with Logias. I mean, it's probably that, but like from the scientific perspective, I don't know. You guys got any thoughts on the like failings of Logia duplication?
I mean, he didn't Vegapunk say specifically that it was just really expensive.
I think he said something to the effect of like they have limited resources, and so he hasn't like had the resources to figure it out, or like they couldn't keep working on it, or like I don't know if he went into that much detail, but I think that's like what he was getting at.
Yeah, I just remembered money being a big problem, and then given the fact that he said that it took exorbitant resources and 20 years to get Kaido's fruit duplicated, only for him to feel like it was a failure because the color was different, which we don't know if that like actually matters or not. Maybe like it's just kind of one of those things that Oda wanted to hide, in a similar vein as like the devil fruits in inanimate object. That one actually like bothered me. I'm like, bro, I've been waiting for years for this one from Enies Lobby and stuff like that. But you know, it is what it is. Logia's a conundrum because the one fruit that doesn't have an awakening either, so it makes you wonder what that really means.
It's really interesting considering Emu's power too, because like we know roughly how you make a devil fruit just by combining lineage factors into growing fruits, and then Vegapunk perfected it. But like, what's up with Emu? How does he have it? Is it maybe it's the runes? But it's very perplexing.
Yeah, well, and going back to the lineage factor, that's what I think that's probably scientifically what's hard about duplicating them is like, how do you get the lineage factor of lightning, right? It's like because like with Caesar, he just like, forget exactly how he worded it, but the way I think about it is he like blended up a bunch of animals' DNAs, right, into like a soup, and then just fed the trees the soup, and then it all worked. But it's like for lightning or ice, like how do you get the lineage factor of that, you know? I don't know. I hope we figure it out soon. I hope Logia's come back to prominence.
Green blood, apparently, right?
Well, that's paramecia.
Yeah. It just makes you wonder, like, do you think that there's a world where Emu had green blood?
No.
If he's his own race, maybe.
I mean, for me,
or not like green blood, but
the way I understood green blood is more that like I don't know if the Seraphim and stuff have green blood. I think, or like they have green blood like to give them the powers, but like whenever he was taking the samples of the paramecia, I don't think like the paramecia users that he was getting samples from had green blood or anything. I think he like took those samples, and green blood is like Vegapunk's creation of
the
like,
conduit.
And I think that's his actual invention. Like he just made up green blood. Like it just
remember,
came out.
If you remember the line, Frankie was like, "What? You created your own blood?" And then there was never any answer. I always thought that was interesting too. It's like, so you're not gonna answer if that you created this, or this is your invention, even though you know you're the scientist and we know all your other inventions.
Yeah,
there was a hang off one where Frankie was freaking out, and then we never got an answer for it.
I think. I don't remember it that way. I think you might, or maybe it's both, but I think you might be thinking of whenever he was talking about the Buccaneers special blood, and then he got cut off there, from what I remember.
No, I'm pretty sure.
I know he got cut off there for sure, because that was like the last thing he said.
Yeah.
But we know their blood isn't green because we've seen Kuma bleed also, so that's why I'm like, I don't even know really where it's going. But
poor Frankie, he's just always getting ignored by Vegapunk.
Hey, well, Lilith hooked him up. Thank God, you know, with the Super Cola. Man, we've all been waiting on Frankie.
God, yeah.
Well, let me know if you find it, Par. But real quick,
yeah, I will.
I'm gonna get to one more. Vasil Vlad Ivanovici. Actually, I saw you had one that kind of attached to this, so I'm gonna read both of them in a row. Killing him makes nightmares come true. What if that is how Emu creates devil fruits, by extracting nightmares? Joy Boy might have found a way to make himself and others dream of their desires instead. Then you said, Emu's drums give the nightmares. Nika's drums of liberation makes you dream. I like that. I like that idea, and I feel like that kind of leads into a discussion on, like dreams and nightmares are kind of the same thing. It's just good and bad versions of the same thing. You know what I mean? So I could, going back to Vegapunk's line about how like devil fruits are like, you know, imagination or dreams incarnate, or however he put it, you know. maybe that's it, is like some of them came out evil because people were thinking of their nightmares, like they were scared, and then some people came out with like positive fruits because they're thinking of the, you know, the positive stuff, like they're dreaming. And it's kind of like a lot of people in One Piece in general, right? Some are having big dreams about saving the world and whatever. Some are doubting themselves and not going anywhere. And so I like that. And I also love the drums connection, because I'm sure you guys heard about the drums of oppression from the last chapter, right? Because Emu's got his own soundtrack apparently, which I love. I love that Emu is tied to music. That is like my favorite thing.
I wonder if Brook is gonna go off.
Oh yeah, Brook. Well, and you also think back to like Big Mom, right? With the like he was the Chopper to Big Mom, in the sense of like Chopper countering Domi Reversi. You know what I mean? Like Brook was able to just free all the other chest keepers. It feels like the same sort of thing. So yeah, I love the music part. I think that is so cool. All right, now I'm gonna go back to Analytic IQ Medias with the $2 super chat. What if Garling was saying that the Marine headquarters was captured? And so I wanted to save this one because I really have no idea what's happening with the old Navy headquarters line. I've heard a lot of good theories. Could be that, you know, because he said that in kind of conjunction with like the food supply issues. So I don't know if that means that like the Marines, because I think also when Lafitte was talking about Umit and stuff, I think they talked about like the Navy delivering food, and every time that food was on the gondola, then it would get destroyed. And so I don't know if this is like the Marines are running out of food from bringing their food to try to give it to the nobles. You know what I'm saying? And now maybe they're revolting because they don't have food. I've also heard a really cool theory that it could be the Cross Guild stuff coming to a head, where maybe all the Marines are revolting because they're tired of getting, you know, hurt by Cross Guild and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like there's a lot of different options. That like the way he kind of didn't finish his sentence makes it feel like whatever's happening there is a big deal, but I just don't know really what it is. It being captured is interesting, especially if it's Cross Guild, but I don't know, where are you guys at on the Marine headquarters part, or the former Navy headquarters part, I should say?
It just seems so odd that it would be connected to what's happening in Marie Joie. Like, I'm surprised that they'd be, if it was like Blackbeard or the Revolutionary Army, that they'd be able to wage a war on two fronts. So I don't know. It's like it's so. I'm still thinking about it. There's a lot of interesting things that it could do.
That's why I like either they're starving or it's Cross Guild, because I agree. Like, I mean, I don't even know if like Blackbeard would want to make an enemy out of the government at this stage. I mean, he kind of does with Garb, but it's like it's leverage, you know.
I feel like because Marineford is technically the closest island to the Red Line, it's probably if the revs are substantial and they were actually running a barricade around, and taking Marineford would be really good. The problem is like, can they do that? Like, that's the problem, where it's like, are they, because Cross Guild, if you told me that if two options, Cross Guild or Revs, Cross Guild could probably do it, especially if the Marines are spread out. And like, yeah, the Revs, like, they did raid Mare Joie, but it's like very different when you have it written canonically that the two admirals there were fighting each other, not really. But like taking Marineford after Marineford War, and it's like, yeah, I know it's it's no longer the head HQ, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, I guess the Revs can just do that now. And then, but as far as its purpose, I feel like it'd be very important, because if supplies are running to Mare Joie, I would think that like if for anything, the old HQ would be a substantial port of entry or supply line. So like, I think it would make sense for the Revs to do it. It's just, my question is like, okay, now what did that look like? Because we don't got Kuma with you guys, and you guys have like, did Dragon finally, if Dragon suppressed all of Marineford and he showed up like goddamn Whitebeard Prime, Like, okay, now we got a story on our hands. But
Yeah.
then, like the trailing off part, it also hurts the aspect of like apparently Shamrock showed up and everything's fine now. So it's like, what does that mean?
And maybe
Like, what did
it could
Shamrock
just
even
be
do?
that they've all retreated back to. I do like they did that. Yeah, the Revs have just been using Marineford as a base to attack Marie's Wall, and now they
So
probably just
like,
retreated there.
if they retreated, that looks. I feel like whatever happened needs to stay there. But then also whatever happened, like Shamrock took care of every other place. Because if Dragon shows up and he takes it over, I feel like you can't just send Shamrock and now Dragon's like, oh no, not after being like, finally the war begins when the Holy Knights are activated, and then he runs away when they show up. It's like, no, you can't be doing that now. You gotta fight him. You gotta fight him, and then, but we know that Shamrock's won. Essentially whatever he was meant to do, he won. Like allegedly, apparently.
Yeah.
So it's a question mark. Maybe he fought on the other side and Dragon wasn't there, but.
So the thing for me is, the way I read the situation, at least, I don't think either of these situations are implying that they got attacked by the people. Like, the Revs are obviously involved in destroying the Bondalos, but I don't think it's necessarily implying that, like, the Revs are attacking the former Navy headquarters. And also, as far as Shamrock, and maybe it's just the way I'm reading it, I don't know how everyone else is viewing it, but I feel like what we're learning is that it was all just the Celestial Dragons rioting over the food, is the whole thing that happened in the Holy Land. And so whenever he says Shamrock's return helped quell matters, that's because the Holy Knights are like the judge and police of the Celestial Dragons. And so if they're rioting over the food, which we know that the Celestial Dragons were kind of already doing last time we saw them, then I think it's telling us that Shamrock went there and kind of calmed them down. That's like, it's not that he defeated anybody or fought anyone. It's just that he was, he's the head of the Gods Knight, so he went in and got them all to stop rioting around the town. Maybe he brought him some food. He picked him up some McDonald's on the way home. I don't know, but that's the way I'm reading it.
There was like a sea of flames, though. Like that's an awful big rebellion.
Yeah, well, we saw how the Celestial Dragons were acting before, right? Whenever they didn't have their food, like they were not respectful. They seem like the type of people who would start burning down the town if they didn't get their lobster,
I just want to have this said on this topic that I forget who does this in my streams. If you're here right now in the chat, Alejandro Solis has done this before, I'm pretty sure, where they're like, the Holy Knights suck, but they make sense because we're supposed to scale them down to the Revs. And I just hate that because it's like, no, not hate that. Like, it's a good joke. Obviously it's a good joke, and we're seeing the Holy Knights and where they're at. But like, just a question mark. Do you guys feel like Shamrock's is different than the Holy Knights we've had? Like, does the Sanji, Frankie, and Jinbei cook Shamrock? Like, is that what we get, or is Shamrock actually substantial?
Well, the thing with Shamrock is that he's like Summers and stuff, like he's supposed to be way older than he is, so I feel like there is going to be a major difference where, like, kind of like how Garling is aging but the other ones aren't. I think there's definitely a difference in the Fagarland Holy Knights than the other ones. Like, Shamrock may not, like, he may still have his regular heart and stuff like that, and maybe that gives him some extra powers or some extra advantage or something like that. But but at least power-wise, I definitely think Shamrock is going to be the strongest of the gods, and it'll be considerable difference. I don't think Summers or Killingham are near his level, but like I said, I also think there's an advantage he has over them, which is the age thing. Like, he's actually young,
And then one other thing, if this is the Revs, I might make a small video on this, but do you think we get a dragon bounty reveal? It goes up a little bit, and then boom, world's worst criminals, and now it's like substantial because like prior to that, it's like, why is he the world's worst criminal again? What did he do?
Yeah, I want the bounty reveal. I think it'd be really funny if Oda was just like, you know what, we're just gonna max it out. 999,999,999,999. Like,
and then alongside him is Usopp.
With the same or actually one more. He has 1 trillion or something like that.
Yeah.
I do think
it, right?
I think going back to the Usopp taking out Emu thing, the UKI agenda, Usopp's bounty might become #1 or like right below Luffy's after this arc. Like, seriously.
But do you think he's like, oh, do you think Emu falls for the, because this would be so funny if Emu comes back and goes and is holding up Usopp's bounty poster and it's like, I see why they call you God now.
Yes.
That'd be so
I need
crazy.
I need it. Because, I mean, Usopp's got to become a brave warrior of the sea, right? If the devil himself shows up and even kills a couple giants, Dory, Brogy, and Jarl got to just scram. They are cooked. Like, those are the top three, like, death flag wearers right now, especially Jarl.
No, I think, Jarl is number one for me. I think Jarl dies. I think straight up, Jarl's killed, maybe even instantly, because the way I've been seeing the post time skip is like it's the old goes out, and per last arc with Egghead, Vegapunk went out pretty quickly. Like in reality, he got stabbed and then like lasered back to back instantly, and he died. Like apparently, and like Jarl is. Yeah, I don't know how to say it anymore, but you know, you guys get the point. Yeah. But Jarl is Elbaf's Vegapunk essentially in a lot of ways. Like everybody reveres him in a lot of ways, to the point that the
Karun's going to take his dad's sword,
bro.
Pull it out of his head.
That's going to be Jarl's swan song. He's going to pull the sword out, fight Emu for a little bit, and so Dean's life just hooked me up. He put my favorite theory, one of my favorite theories, in the chat. Bonnie is gonna de-age Jarl, so Jarl gets one last send-off, going ham against Emu, showing his full strength. Remember, he was like the strongest warrior in these waters 300 years ago, whatever the line was. We're gonna get him back for one swan song. Him and Emu are gonna box, and then Jarl's gonna die. But
that'd be sick.
That's all I want.
As long as he doesn't live.
As long as he dies, I don't care. I don't care how it happens. Yeah, Jarl's as good as gone. I think Dory and Brogy need to watch out too, though. I would not be shocked if they also.
Oh no! You can't take that. No, we have to protect.
I don't know. The thing for me is like, Emu needs to catch minimum one body. I can tell you that. So Jarl, you're good as gone.
Yeah.
But I would almost say that Emu needs to take even more bodies. And talking about like, you know, the old guard kind of, you know, dying and ushering in the new guard kind of deal. Well, Dory and Brogy are the old guard. We don't really think of them that way necessarily because they're kind of like middle-aged for giants and stuff. But like, we have the giant warrior pirates and then the new giant warrior pirates. They've already been usurped in a way, you know. So I don't know. I mean, they also escaped the Domi Reversi with minimal damage. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want them to die. I'm just saying it would hit real hard.
Take the children.
Also, Scopper. I hate thinking about it, but Scopper might be cooked too.
Stop it. No, Scopper's not cooked, bro. He survived this long. He's not dying right now.
What if?
But could you imagine the tears from the sacrifice in front of Colin?
But what if? What if Rayleigh shows up too? Then are they both cooked?
Absolutely not.
If Rayleigh shows up, they're both cooked. That's what I think.
The only reason I could see a line, but the thing is, like, when Emu says like this is inevitable and the line like this is what history is holding, like it feels weird for Rayleigh to now show up when his whole thing was like let the new generation handle it. So like I feel like Rayleigh's position isn't to die the way he kind of introduced himself to not. I mean, it could be, sure, but maybe not on Elbaf per se. That if anyone, Scopper, but it also feels weird from Scopper. Like unless Oda is treating Scopper in a similar vein as like Odin's journal, where it's like, oh, here's the history of everything standing right before us. Oh no, he dies. Like, god damn it, Scopper. At least tell us how to deal with, because you can't hit us with so many vague lines. And then like I feel like if Rayleigh were here, he'd be like, yo, stop being vague. Tell them how to beat the Holy Knights. Like, just like it's that simple. He didn't need to be like, the colors of your supreme hockey are very important. It's like, just say what needs to happen. Like, stop.
I think he's pretending that he knows. He's just trying to make it seem like, if you just do this.
Just some of these and some of those, it just needs to make this sound, you know? Like, no, Scopper, just say what it is. And then like, you know, they're not immortal. Okay. I didn't know that they were immortal. Why don't you tell us, give us the
Yeah.
inkling here, you know? It's kind of wild.
Yeah, the thing for me is that, you know, whenever Rayleigh was like stopping Blackbeard at Amazon Lily, he was kind of like, you know, my old age, I probably couldn't have beat him. I got kind of lucky. Like that I don't know, that always kind of stuck with me. Like that's telling me that if Rayleigh were to go get into a serious battle, he may not make it out, you know. And so if we had like the former wings of the Pirate King, like, you know, saving this generation's wings, or even Luffy, I just think, I don't know, it had to be done in the right way, but I can see it. I can see it. Not that I want it to happen, but I know Rayleigh was already sending some signals, you know.
If Rayleigh swims to Elbaf, that will be peak.
We didn't. This is going back to an old thing, but I just thought about it. But did we talk about Blackbeard and Marineford, like him doing his thing about just like when the opportunity is the best, he strikes, and so like there's a whole barricade up that the Revs are running, and now he's like, oh, perfect time, let's get Marineford, and he's a Yonko, so like if he claims it, then they can't really do much, right? Like, could it be Blackbeard that's just there?
I mean, I sort of doubt it, because it seems like Blackbeard is trying to like earn some like benefits from the government, either via the Garp or Kobe thing, right? It's like a barting chip to get what he wants. And so like so if he were to do anything at Marineford, it would be to like free them, so then he can get the Marines on.
Maybe
like, so the Marines start looking at him positively, and like they can be like, yeah, we like this guy, get him in the Holy Knights. Like that would be. And also we know that Lafitte was already watching over the Revs, trying to mess with the food stuff at the Umit.
Imagine this: Blackbeard pulls the Whitebeard, where he goes, you're free. This is my territory. Anybody who fights this is now against me. And so now the Revs, who Blackbeard apparently hates anyways, because he raided Baltigo.
Yeah.
Now the Revs can't take over Marineford because Blackbeard's there, and it's like the reverse Whitebeard, like against like for the Navy, and it's protecting it. And it's like, yeah, we'll protect Marineford for you guys. Don't worry. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what if it's something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see something like that. In my mind, Blackbeard's gunning for the final Holy Knight position. That's like where this is all going, one way or another. Then he gets the contract, and then he can be like, well, guess what, Emu? Thank you for giving me that. Now I can take you out because, you know, I got the Yami Yami and it mixes with it or whatever.
The problem that I see in all those end stages of this thing is that like Emu could smell the Davy off Blackbeard even as a 2-year-old. You know what I mean? From like half an island away, they were in the center of the island. They're like, I smell that dirty Davy over there. Go get him, Rock. And it's like, if you can smell Davy that hard, you're not. And they said it in this chapter actually. Davy Jones over Blackbeard, so he knows that he's Davy, at least from that panel. But like, I just can't see the disdain that Emu had for the Davy clan and let any kind of like, it's already egregious that Garp punched Emu and is still not rising the ranks, but like well protected within the ranks of the Navy. So for Blackbeard to get any kind of concession, any kind of negotiation running while being Davy with the Gorosei, when Emu knows damn well that's a dirty Davy clan guy, you know, it's like, damn, why do you hate Davy, and why are you okay with them like doing this? You know what I mean? It's
because then they would be like, from Ebu's perspective, then the Davy would be at his beck and call, because it's like, well, I can just kill you if you don't listen, right? I can control you if you take the mark, right? So
if it's okay, so if it's, do you think that there's like, because I never asked you about this before, but like this process of getting the mark, is it just a tattoo you just draw it on, or you have to be at the Holy Land and you have to do some like Shangara like some of those, you know? Like
from what we saw, it looked like Harold just kind of walked up, and then like, wasn't his arm like, there's like smoke coming off of it, so I feel like it's like a branding.
He was screaming.
Yeah, so I feel like they like brand it on him, but like, yeah, that I do feel like that leads to just a bigger question of like, how does this work? Like, is it literally just a normal branding and just having the mark does it? Because then couldn't other people just go get it branded or tattooed and then they would have it? So it feels like there's got to be some special sauce, you know, to the introduction.
Yeah.
So,
but then with
somehow
Shanks,
they get like a part of Emu, so that has to be involved.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, and then but Shanks apparently loses the part of Emu to the Lord of the Coast, and the Lord of the Coast now has Emu. Like, what was that about? You know, it's like, is it literally just the mark, and like you get a bit off, and now you can, Or is it like Shanks has been holding off the regeneration so that the mark doesn't come back? This entire story, we find out that's why Shanks is like weakened a little bit right now. It's just that mark is just so. There's a fine
Also, at
line
what point
between the
do
truth
they get a
and us.
robot heart? Like, is that like the second level? Is that the
I
DLC?
would guess so, because it seems like the God Steel is very like you only have like one toe in the water. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like you're that dedicated yet. And going back to Shank's regeneration, we learned that like the God Steel people only regenerate when they're close to Emu. And so I feel like that's sort of the idea, is like he lost it when he was far from Emu, so now it doesn't regenerate.
Emu is hella close now, bro.
Yeah,
Emu
but
is
he
hella
lost it.
close.
But he lost it when Emu was not close, is what I'm saying. So
yeah, but wouldn't that mean that like if Emu like shows up next to Shanks now, wouldn't it still technically regrow?
I doubt it, because I think that's the point, is like if you aren't near Emu when you take the damage, then there's not a regeneration. Like, at least that's I feel like that's the easy answer. I'm not saying it's even for sure.
Do you think
that would make the
Emu
most sense.
winced when? Oh my god, I never thought about this. When the Lord of the Coast bit Shanks, the person who took the most damage was Emu.
I guess it depends on how the marks work, because since Emu again wasn't close enough to even do the regeneration, it might be that Emu also wouldn't feel anything. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, when you get it cut off, because when Harold's like connection was cut, right? Then it was like they were huffing and panting and go like, oh, there's a cost to every mark. So like surely when the mark is lost, whenever that is, like probably when the Lord of the Coast is done digesting, that's probably when it was. Emu started huffing and you know?
Shanks' arm just passed straight through.
Yeah. Maybe what if Emu has the arm?
I feel like the arm
Gross.
is in a lump of fish poop somewhere in the ocean. And
does the
that's
Lord of
the
the
end of
Coast
it.
poop? That's the next question. Maybe he just still has
that's
it.
got to be in an SBS. And like without the
Yeah.
context too. Like don't bring up the Shanks arm thing. Just hopefully somebody asks it, so then Oda's like, "Oh yeah, I'll explain this." And then we're like, "So wait, so Shanks' arm, like, you know, we got to like Trojan
Yeah.
horse him into the question, you know, get him to answer, and then we're like, "Wait, all right, here's the real reason I asked." I like that.
What if a full Shanks grew out of the arm, and so now there's a triplet? There's three brothers.
That's the real reason Shanks has a twin, is it was his arm.
Shamrock is literally his poop brother. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's kind of actually shocking that Emu didn't track Shanks down when he had the Gomu Gomu no Mi, because he would have known where he was that whole time, where he had his arm.
Yeah, Goa Kingdom is. I mean, this is what I liked about the Shanks was playtesting the range of Emu, so he's like headquarters in Dawn Village, but it's just so convenient that it's like out of range. You know what I mean? Because then does that mean that like Garp unironically found that range and Luffy was safe, like Dragon and Garp, or is it just coincidental?
I feel like
you know
the
what I
range
mean?
is just like Holy Land or not. Like if you're up in the Holy Land, then you're close enough, and anywhere else is too far away. And so as far as like Emu trying to track him down, I'm also guessing that same thing is you have to be close to regenerate. Emu probably doesn't know where you're at automatically if you have the lower mark. Because that's the other thing, is like we learned that there was a finite amount of the upper covenants, but there's not of the bottom one, or like the one Shanks had, the God Steel. So I feel like there's really like I don't know if Emu has to give up as much of like themselves or whatever for that one. I feel like it's very like not, you know, like not a big deal for Emu to give those out. But all right, real quick, I know for the 10th time we're gonna try speed running through some super chats here. Keep It a Brook, which I love that name, member for 19 months. Thank you very much. You said, will Vivi make it to Elbaf before the arc ends? I feel like the odds.
I hope not.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like the odds sadly went up from the last chapter, because now Emu's here. We know the Retrieve Vivi thing's going on, and I feel like this is probably a good time for Emu to show up, or for Vivi to show up, but that would probably also mean that Vivi's getting taken, so it's not a good time, but it's also not a good time for her, but a good time for us, you know, to see her show up and see what happens. So yeah, I say pretty likely. Isaiah Gren, maybe, 5628 with the $10 super chat. I think the Gorosei are worried about what will happen to the planet if Emu leaves the Holy Land, because remember their reactions to Lelucia were like disappointment about destroying the island. I like that too, where like, because Emu is just like a walking weapon of mass destruction sort of thing, you know? And it's like, I know we've always heard about the world's balance or whatever, mainly in terms of like politics between the emperors and the warlords and stuff, but there's probably an environmental balance too, so.
And I don't know if Par still has the chapter pulled up behind him, but there were those like sound effects that were kind of moving right after Emu left. Like at first I kind of thought like, oh, was that coming from the red line? But then I was like, oh, maybe that's Emu sort of traveling. Yeah, but it's like goo 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 goo. I think is like what the sound effect says.
Well, this would be the time for the red line to get active, also with the giant's serpent soaked in blood thing.
Which chapter? Oh no, the recent one. Yeah. With...
Like the very end, or no, sorry, I think it would have been when he leaves. So 78. Sorry.
When he leaves.
78.
I see a Ra, but like Emu's not leaving like there yet.
Yeah, Emu leaves in 79.
Oh, I see the Gurg. Yeah. It's in middle of 79. Yeah, the Gurgs. He's just standing there. It goes. That's the sound Emu makes when they leave. I'm so glad that Emu had the giant pentagram over the thing, because I remember saying that like, if I was Scopper, I'd be like, erase all the marks immediately as fast as possible. But it's like, nope, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Emu just kind of like spawned.
Yeah, it would have been real helpful to just mess with the circle, guys. Like all somebody had to do was destroy that circle in the room, and people just left it. The rest of the building is destroyed, pretty much, except that.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if they just put like a strip of paint over it, would Emu just not be able to show up? You know what I mean? Like, is the circle just inoperable at that point?
Yeah, and when did Harold learn these circles? Like, did he go to school? Was this a PhD program? Like, how did he get
stencil?
There, you know? Oh yeah. So if it's stencil, then yeah, you just kind of put a giant X on it, and then you're good. Maybe that's the whole point of like pirate symbols. You put your Jolly Roger over it, and it's done.
Do you think there's any difference between the symbol Emu had on his back and then the final covenant?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right now it looks like.
I think we saw that mark. You're talking about the cape, right? Or the.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you think there's a difference, or his like the highest version of it?
That's the same one that. That's the same one that Summers had on his armband, I believe. I know we've seen it before somewhere, so I'm 99.9999% that's the final mark. I'm just trying to see where we saw it, but I know we've seen that mark before.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it's weird.
Let me see. The one on his armband's the one before, but I know we saw the one that we're talking about. We've seen it somewhere. Can't remember where, but yeah, that's definitely like, it's definitely the final mark of the Abyss, and also like Emu's Jolly Roger basically is kind of the vibe I'm getting, because like his cape.
Like, where did this outfit come from? Like, he just pulled this out of nowhere. Do you think he's just rocking this under his hoodie, or? I
think he knew he was going to Elbaf, so he had to put the Elbaf fit on.
He is in theme, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like the rest of the Straw Hats. Like, Oda always makes them look the part for the arc. And maybe it is that, you know, he's an ancient giant, so of course he has Elbaf clothing on or something like that, right? It could be. But I kind of feel like it might just be Oda styling him for the arc, and that's it. Like, Emu's just wearing a cool fit for the moment, but I don't know. I could go either way. All right, next super chat from 25th Slayer. Sorry I'm an hour behind, but I am actually almost caught up, believe it or not. Haven't seen you touch on the Emerald City in a while. 25th Slayer, you're right. I still like the idea that it was Alabasta, but then Alabasta dried out and became a desert. And I like that, the theme of all that. And also with Vivi coming back.
Especially the town Emeralu.
Say that again?
There's a town called Emerald.
Oh, right, yep.
That's
And I
Emerald.
believe Vivi even said, like, yeah, like there used to be more plants here, but you know it's dried out more recently, and so it's like kind of telling us like, oh, which obviously crocodile and stuff had a role in all that, the dance powder, but it could also just be like maybe it's been becoming more arid for the last 800 years, you know. Also, shout out to Growth Stonks. I don't know if you're still here. I think you did. Yeah, you sent a super chat later, but he has a cool theory that the Emerald City. I'm gonna butcher this because I know it's a long theory, but basically the Emerald City is in the sky and it ties to the weapon that we may have just seen. There's a lot more to it, but I think Joy Girl did a video on it of his theory. So shout out to both of them. Vlad, I did yours already. Cinnamon 27, but cinnamon is spelled different. I like that. With the $5 super chat. I feel like Emu and maybe the Elders are super advanced cyborgs from outer space. I agree with you 100%. And you know what? I wanted to show this earlier, but I forgot to bring the panel, like to get it here on the stream. But I'm just gonna pull it up now because it's very relevant, and I wanted to show this. So on the moon mural, let me find the right thing. On the moon mural, is this gonna work? Maybe not. There we go. On the moon mural, there's this guy on one of the panels that has like a staff with a bunch of black smoke at the end. And you know, we already talked about the pressure gauge similarities and all that stuff. Like, yo, is that Emu's staff?
That's very interesting.
Isn't that crazy? Is that, I mean, look, that, I don't know, man. All this stuff on the moon I look at so different now, you know? Like, I don't know.
It's only missing the spear, but like that's not about it.
But look at the automata. Their spear isn't the exact same, but they have spears right behind him. And so I'm looking at that like, hey, is Oda, are we just seeing them side by side?
Does that mean that's Emu descending to the planet?
Yeah. Now, I would say that, you know, this this guy's wings are different than what Emu should be, because like these are like the Skypian or Shandorian wings that are real small, because the Birkins have different wings that are way bigger, and they look even different here on the mural. So we know that this is a Skypian. It's a Skypian because of the hat for sure. And so it's kind of weird in that aspect, but
one of the ones with like those animalistic features with like the ears. Look, I've never noticed that. Like I've never zoomed in, but it has the same ears as like the dog people did that are part of the Divine Squad.
And Doron's also bringing up this weird eye creature, which I think could be relevant. We actually see the same guy that we're talking about right now, the same Skypian in this one. Over here, let me crop this real quick. But yeah, there is this weird, I see what people are saying by it being an eye. I'm not 100% sold that's what it is, but it is definitely weird. I don't know what you would call this thing, but, and then also right next to him, I don't know if it's gonna, there's our Skypian friend from before who was crying. See, or he's crying now with the balloon. That's the same guy as before, because I mean, it's just the way it's colored, but it's the same Skypian, same design and everything. So I think that's probably the same guy.
Do you think that's just one of those like octopuses that they use to descend? It could just be that like deflating.
I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what this is. I'm gonna be honest. I got no idea. I know my job as a theorist to not say that, but I genuinely have no idea. Like, because I can see what people mean by an eye up here. I could also reason that it's just a weird design, you know. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's definitely weird, man.
Yeah. Yo, Dax, I'm gonna head out in a little bit, so if there's any big questions you want to ask, I got my focus.
You know what? Then we're gonna real quick swap over here, because I know we teased it a couple times, but this is like my favorite thing to talk about. Not just this, but this. All right, so the Ring of Fire. I want to talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
Are you guys in alignment that this is going to end up being like a a bird cage / frontier dome / similar thing where like people won't be able to cross over the ring of fire, because everyone saw the ring of fire in the sky, but we have this one on the ground. So do you guys agree that like whoever's in here and like people won't be able to get out or in if they want to?
I feel as if someone, because Luffy's outside of it right now, so someone will have to go in because they're gonna have to get in there eventually.
I look at it less of birdcage. I call it like birdcage is an apt description, but I kind of think about it. Oda's been describing devil fruits with like ranges. Like I think one of the first ones is buggies. People ask like, "Oh, what's his range of separation from his legs?" And he said like 56 barabaras or something like that, right? In a similar vein, I look at it kind of like Room from Law, where he has a range of access that he can apply, and he can make it bigger or smaller. It's just more taxing on him, or takes his lifespan or whatever it is. And you can enter it. It's just that once you're entering it, if you don't have the willpower to sustain someone else's domain, then you're going to be underneath their effect. And so within Law's thing, it's like anyone inside the room is affected unless you're a conqueror or you have strong enough will, which apparently the rooftop members primarily were, unless they allowed it. Which is why Law was able to like transfer like Zoro and everybody else. But I think that the way I kind of view it is we're gonna get multiple of these. Like Emu's gonna have one, and I'm not saying Luffy has this exact same thing yet, but eventually he's gonna have a similar thing. And I guess the best visual that, at least as a One Piece person, comes to mind is Stampede, when you saw Douglas Bullet and Luffy clash their Conqueror's Haki. There was the red side and then there was the blue side. And so, but then they ultimately made like a bubble of clashing. And I've always viewed Conqueror's Haki kind of like that, but now it's like Awakenings can do that, Haki can do that, Magic can do that. Because at the end of the day, whether Emu has a Devil Fruit ability or it has a Devil Fruit or not, it seems like this circle is being conjured by the magic sigil, magic circle. And so I think that Luffy might be able to counter it with his awakening. I think that if Devil Fruits have it and Magic have it, Haki has it, and so Shanks, he wouldn't be left alone either. Like he would have his own circle of effect that, in my opinion, and I talk about this in the latest video that I just posted, is that the simplest way that Haki is able to affect it is it's able to just nullify it, which we've seen Shanks is able to nullify Devil Fruit powers. So I think that in a similar vein, strong enough Conqueror's Haki, you're able to affect the magic as well, which is kind of like what Scopper's been saying, right? Like he's saying like, yeah, you got to be careful of your color of Haki being used. And I emphasize that because I get into that and how this magic circle, whether you look at it like the color Magic, Devil Fruit, whatever, the way I kind of been thinking about it is if Damir Versi is like it has a black effect on the character, then maybe it relates back to Miss Golden Week. Miss Golden Week having Betrayal Black, and specifically what it would do, it would make it so that you would like do the opposite of whatever you wanted. And so when you think about Dory and Brogy, they literally were doing the exact opposite thing that they said that if they had completed, they would literally shame themselves for generations, which is the opposite. So I kind of look at it as like maybe everyone underneath it is underneath some kind of influence, as if you were on a Miss Golden Week color trap. And so characters like Zoro, he might like that. You know what I mean? Characters like Zoro, he might be able to use it to his advantage. But in a similar oppositional way, Luffy's already kind of been doing that. Luffy has been having people's eyes pop out, for example. And he's been having people dance and laugh almost like not willingly. When we saw the Giants Egghead, their ship was on fire and they could not help but laugh and dance when they were close up to Luffy. And so I kind of look at that, is that similar to what Emu's doing right now? The houses, the people, they're all they're not laughing, but they are like smiling and dancing in a kind of like mischievous way. makes you wonder, like maybe they are under like a betrayal black kind of influence. And so that once you leave that sphere, then you're fine. But once you're in it, you kind of get like soft Dami reversied or perpetually Dami reversied. And to get out of it, you either need a Conqueror or a Luffy to then come in your range of effect. And I think that ultimately, I think that what we're seeing out of Emu, we're going to see out of maybe a lot of characters, but primarily Luffy. Gear 5 is going to have equal and opposite effect of what Emu's portraying here. So that's kind of like my idea around the circle. But, you know, obviously we have nothing to go off of yet in terms of like actual stuff. So, but yeah, that's where it is. But I do have to go. So I just want to say thank you, Dax, for having me, inviting me on such an important chapter. And it's nice to meet you, Mr. Crap Cafe. I did get permission to call him Mr. Crap. So I just want to let you guys know that. But yeah, it was a great time.
Well, thank you, Par. Seriously, appreciate you taking the time. Obviously, this is a big moment, so we'll have more discussions in the future. But I believe you just said that you dropped a video a little bit ago, right? During this stream?
I did. I meant to post it afterwards, but when we were talking, I completely forgot about the schedule. So
no worries, man. No worries. I'm just glad you're getting more videos done, man. The community's been missing you. So
yeah, I'm trying to warm up on some smaller videos. So appreciate any of the support you guys can give, and look forward to some of these bigger videos because I've had them cooking for a long time.
Yep. Everyone, make sure you go check out Par. His link is in the description. He's one of my goats for sure. So I'm glad he's back. So definitely go check him out. But Par, thank you, man. I appreciate you for real. Hope you have a good one.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Peace.
We'll talk soon.
Good one.
Peace.
Thank you, chat.
Yeah. So guys, as soon as the stream's over, go check it out for sure. Par's always cooking, you know. I'm gonna fix the Discord thing here in a second, but a lot of what Par was saying, I definitely think this is like domain expansion thing, but I do think there's going to be an element where we like Emu will at least get to choose who crosses the barrier. Like if Emu wants someone to come in or doesn't want them to come out, I think Emu will be able to control that. So what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I think we did see the same sort of like flaming circle when the Gorosei first appeared on Egghead. So it could just be that it's just, you know, a result of the sigil. But I do like the idea that it will be like but that kind of it kind of limits where Emu can go. Like you can really only stay on that castle.
Yeah, I mean,
so you know, it kind of makes it easier for escaping from them. But I like the idea that maybe like the whole tree is just going to start burning down, and then they're just going to have to start moving upwards as fast as they can, and then that could also give them kind of a countdown to like get out of the island.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what I'm kind of hoping we get is an Enel parallel out of this, because remember Enel, like, remember how he was like counting down the people, right? He's like, 4 left, 3 left. Like I think Emu might do the same thing, but within their circle. And so this also got me thinking, if it is a barrier and Emu gets to decide who goes in and out, I think it'd be kind of cool if we got another callback to Skypiea, where remember when Luffy and everybody were inside of Nola and Enel could not detect them? You remember that? Because like his observation Haki wouldn't work if you're inside another living being. Well, remember how Loki and Luffy are like best friends with animals, and Elbeth has these giant animals? I think it'd be really cool if Loki and Luffy can't get into the circle. They figure out that, you know, or they do like a Trojan horse situation. They get eaten by one of Loki's friends, which also parallels Fishman Island a little bit whenever Luffy was in Megalo, right? I think that's who it was.
Yeah. That was a pole.
Yeah, and so maybe like Emu won't know that Luffy's sneaking in because he's inside an animal, and that obviously would play off of like the benefit of befriending animals and not being a horrible person and all that kind of stuff, right? So I just really want that. I like the circle being a barrier is cool on its own, but I want the friendship with the animals to come full circle. That's sort of my big agenda.
They get to play a role.
Yeah.
I hope that wolf comes back in. Fenrir agenda gets to come back.
Yeah, I want, like, those animals got cooked earlier by Shamrock and Gunko, and I felt bad ever since. Like, has anybody taken them to the vet? I don't know. You know,
the only thing is anything big enough to fit Loki in like its mouth? Because he's like massive.
I'd have to go look, but It's hard to tell because he was sitting down for a lot of that, so the creatures looked bigger than him, but they probably realistically aren't. You know what I mean? So maybe it's got to be a special creature. Maybe Uranus, like maybe it's not Loki, and maybe there's a creature that's Uranus and it comes and helps us.
Either
out.
way,
I don't
everyone
know.
can fit in Loki's mouth, so they can just do that.
Yeah,
he gets away.
Yeah, it could be that Loki eats everybody because maybe like Emu will let Loki in because I guess he is a giant, and part of subjugating the giants might be subjugating him. So Emu might let him in, so maybe he eats everybody. Look, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Also, do I see John Sherrod in the chat? JJ, appreciate you for being here, my man. Oda gave you a big shout out with the cover page, by the way, with all the boars on it. Man, the Topman fans were eating this week. That's it. And actually, wasn't the one before this a mole one? Has Oda been? No, it was two. That was 2 chapters ago. I was about to say if they had the mole one followed up by the boar one, that'd be crazy for our agendas, JJ. But all right, let's go ahead and get through some of these other super chats real quick. Growth Stonks, we were just talking about. Or no, I'm sorry, Alejandro Solis. Then we'll get the Growth Stonks. Alejandro Solis, I really like this one. Member for 29 months. Thank you very much, brother. Emu uses others' devil fruit powers versus Luffy, who has others' help. I love that. Like, Emu has all the powers at his disposal, and so does Luffy, because Luffy has friends who have those powers. I think that is, that's a very One Piece-esque through line there. So I personally love that. I'm a big fan. And also...
No, I think you had that theory that, like, Emu was trying to recollect all the devil fruits, right? Now that we know that he does have like the devil's fruit, what if like whenever someone eats a devil fruit, it like removes a power from him? So maybe he's trying to build up as many as he can.
Well, and that could be why the world got flooded, is because then it drowned all the devil fruit users, and then Emu got their powers back, right? But then you would have to wonder, like, why hasn't Emu been going gung ho to like keep all the devil fruits, in Marijois or something like that?
Well, they do buy them, like outside
true.
of like giving them Marines, they do collect a lot.
That's true. You look at God Valley, Oda even increased the number from 6 to 9 from chapter 1096 to the recent flashback of God Valley. So I guess they did have a lot, now that I think about it. So and they obviously, I would imagine, weren't planning on losing those ones either, and then everything got ruined. So that is interesting.
Plus, if he gives it to a God's Knight, it's like it's still his.
Yeah. And I go back to shoot, what was I about to say? Now I just totally lost the thought. I can't remember now. Oh, I always go back to Emu using the book. That's what I was going to say. The summoning book to like bring out the shotgun and stuff. Because you think back to the Devil Fruit Encyclopedia, and like that's been mentioned so many times, and I'm like, is this like a special Devil Fruit Encyclopedia that Emu has, where Emu can just like turn to the page of a fruit and use the power in a weird way, I would really like that. I don't know how realistic it is, but I would like it.
Well, especially with they have like the Ors Gyorsha, the book of all the demons. Right when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe all the devil fruits are like there's only 72 of them, but we have a few more than that. It's like 100 and something. So unfortunately, that couldn't quite be it. Like it's not each one is its own devil in the book.
And actually, now I'm starting to think too. So obviously we have a lot of parallels with Big Mom going on right now with the homies and stuff like that. And Big Mom's already been tied to Elbaf very closely, so it kind of makes sense that Big Mom's coming full circle in a way here. And remember Mont d'Or, like having all the different races in that book, and like Big Mom could just like flip through and look at them.
The book fruit.
Yeah, I feel like we're paralleling that in some way, And I can't remember who brought this up in my Discord, but you know how in this chapter, Killingham and Summers brought up remembering people's names, like Gerd and Sanji's.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a connection there, like they're gonna go put their names in the book or something, and something's gonna happen. I don't know where that's going exactly, but the fact they both brought up remembering people's names in the same chapter, I'm like, Oda wants me to learn something from this. Like, there's no way it's just a coincidence or like,
because I feel like they're like Sanji's holding Killingham's head. Like he's low diving him next time you see them.
Right.
So it's not like a rivalry is being built up. I hope it's like a bounty thing. That's what I'm hoping. Sanji's gonna get one more boost over Zoro before the end of the series potentially.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's something that should happen this arc for sure, is that Sanji gets a higher bounty for a little bit, and then Zoro will probably end up with the highest bounty at the end of the story, but we need one more flip of Sanji getting ahead, I think. All right, growth stonks. Now we're getting to this one for $10. Some great minds came together today. Appreciate you, brother, and you as well. You know, another great mind just showed up. Actually, it was an hour ago, so I apologize. But since York is making more Mother Flame, and Emu appears to be an L 2.0, is Elbaf's Heaven Realm gonna get nuked by Uranus, aka the weapon that was used on Leloucia, which I don't think is Uranus, but I think that's what he's implying. Is going to be revealed to be the Emerald City or the Ancient Kingdom. I was literally talking about your Emerald City theory a little bit ago, which is awesome. I don't know if you were here for it, but yeah, I mean, mainly, do you think that the Mother Flame, or the weapon that was used at Leloucia, the Mother Flame, whatever you call that thing, you think that's going to pull up? I mean, I think there's a good chance. I'm not 100%.
The only issue is that they said for some reason it wasn't ready. So either it is ready, she's just not telling them that she's wants to be fed first, or there's still something about it that's unstable or just not ready enough. So I mean, I like the idea, but I think it's going to be like a late game kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be an Elbaf right away.
And there's like a kind of subtle plot line going on that I mean, maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I feel like there's a little subtle plot line going on where like York is struggling to reproduce the Mother Flame because she hasn't connected to Punk Records in a long time, right? It's been like 3 months or whatever. And whenever the Vegapunks were taking it away, they said like, oh, she can still connect to it because it's global or whatever, but they just wanted to make sure they had it or whatever. And I feel like there's like a little story going on here where maybe York, like, she could easily figure out how to do this and get the Mother Flame, like, to, make more uses of it, but she doesn't want to connect to Punk Records because then the Vegapunks are fully aware of what she's learned since then, right? Because like she has to, like if she's gonna sync her brain with Punk Records, they're gonna learn everything that she knows. That she has all of her conversations with the Gorosei, everything she's learned since coming here, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think that's kind of what's going on, because if you go back to whenever York like gave them the Mother Flame or whatever, she literally says, "I'm glad I sent it." She never specifically says that she made it or that she separated it. She just says, "I'm glad I sent it." And so I'm like, is that maybe telling us that like Vega or the other Vegapunks had figured out how to like break off a piece of it, and she stole it and used it, and then that's why she now can't figure it out because she didn't do it originally, but she could figure it out if she synced with the brain, but she hasn't, because then they're going to figure out her stuff. And so I wonder if we're coming to a point to where there's going to be like, one moment where she's like she's going to do it at the last second, because then the Vegapunks won't be able to respond. Because like if she syncs with the Mother Flame or with Punk Records right now, then all the Vegapunks are going to be like, wait, she's making more uses of the weapon right now to use against us. We need to go stop her. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's maybe where this is going, is that she needs to sync up, but she doesn't want to yet. And so she's trying to figure it out on her own, but she's not as like smart as the others, I suppose.
It certainly seems like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Because the fact she's struggling, I know she's hungry, but I feel like she's struggling genuinely. Like she doesn't, this is hard for her to do, right?
Well, and then Vegapunk, he kind of needed her to consume a massive amount of calories. So maybe it is just that she hasn't eaten and now she can't think. That was her whole purpose, was to eat for everyone.
Yeah, I could go either way on it. I definitely know that Oda's setting something up here, like the fact that the Mother Flame duplication is being delayed is a really big deal, So I guess to answer Growth Stonk's question, if it's coming, it's not coming right now. It's on a delay. I would like it if it showed up, but also, Emo did say that he wants to like subjugate Elbaf and like take them over because he needs them on his side. And so if he destroyed the whole island, they would all just die. So maybe he doesn't want to delete it. I don't know.
And plus, I think we were already kind of talking about like a repetition of Skypiea and Enel just kind of beaming down like holes. But like, I kind of want that to be like global. I want Emu to just be taking out islands. Same. I don't think that can happen just yet. Because right now it wouldn't be. It would be weird if he was just blowing up islands from Elbaf.
It would almost make more sense if like Emu realizes that he's going to lose the Giants, and then he just starts blasting. He's like, all right, well, if the Giants aren't on my side, then my only other choice is to blow up the entire planet or something. You know what I mean? Like, he kind of moves.
I could definitely see him like just destroying the Atom Tree.
Yeah, that
before the end of the arc.
You know what? Let's talk about that real quick, because I mentioned this earlier, but this is one of my favorite agendas. It's actually my oldest LBAF agenda. Where is it at? I thought I had. Oh, here it is. So obviously, there's a lot of parallels to Big Mom going. Nope, not that one. I tried to bring a lot of different images in here to use, and then the problem is once I bring in a lot of images, then the more images there are, the easier it is to lose where the original image was. Whatever, I'll just stay here. I wanted to show the trees. My first LBAF video, it's literally the Atom Tree falling and Loki's like smiling behind it. And now that we have Sonic and being like a fighter for Emu and then needing to be cut down, I feel like
that would be sick.
If LBAF were to like get destroyed, quote unquote, or to like suffer some great, casualty or whatever, I feel like the Atom Tree is it. And it could just be because it turns into a giant homie. And remember, the Atom Tree is like the toughest wood in the world, so good luck, destroying that thing. I didn't even really think about this connection, but I'll just throw this here too. You know how in a lot of the depictions of Nika, he has like a sword or a spear or like some kind of weapon? Maybe Luffy goes giant Luffy and uses the sword and just cuts the tree down. I know he's not a sword wielder typically, but maybe in a one-off thing just to cut the tree down. I don't know. How you feel about that?
Pretty sick. There's a lot I'm looking forward to with that, but I was just thinking, would Loki's hybrid form also be giant? Because he could just go hybrid and then pick it up himself.
It should be. I don't know.
Yeah, because he should grow based on the size of the giant form, like exponentially. So that could be one way for him to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would like it if it's Loki. I'm just thinking Luffy because like. He's got to, one way or another, this arc's got to end with him having like a really high note, doing something. I mean, maybe they lose and that's not it, but Luffy's got to do something big, and I don't feel like he's going to beat Emu. So the Atom Tree could be an option too, but
and then we have like Giant Jack and Skypiea, which did fall, so maybe it really will just get tipped over.
Yeah, and you think about like the Tree of Knowledge on Ohara, also got cooked, right? If you're I think in my redacted episode, I was saying if you're an important tree or a mom in a flashback, you're cooked. Like Oda hates you. If you're one of those two, you got the crosshairs right on your face. That's Oda's thing. He does not care about trees or moms in flashbacks.
And if the Atom Tree goes down, that means we finally get to see the Eve Tree. That'll be the only one left. And I would love to know anything about that because it's so confusing.
Well, there are multiple Atom Trees. So we got to figure that out too, which I don't.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That's still. I feel like they're all saplings of the original. Like they chopped off like part of a branch and just replanted it. And
or like the Tree of Ohara could have just been like a sapling.
Yeah, I actually would really like that. Sai was also telling me that Gil Tesoro had like Atom Trees just on his like ship or his castle thing or whatever. I can't remember.
I haven't seen Film Gold, but I gotta give it a watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but there's Atom Tree. I think it was like in an SBS or something. Oda talked about it, but yeah, he's got Atom Trees apparently, which is like that's crazy. All right, Vex, the lurking legend who is lurking no more. $10 super chat. What if this Emu actually dies right now, but the Devil Fruit reincarnates back in the flower room? And then the next Devil Fruit user becomes a fresh Emu, and maybe that's why they want Vivi. She might be a compatible vessel. I think there's a good chance of that. I personally am like pretty against all the Vivi vessel theories at this point. I might be in the very small minority on that because I know that's one of the most popular theories. But I don't want to see the Vivi getting taken over angle personally. But I definitely think that like. I don't know. Emu dying would be crazy, but I could definitely see where, like, going back to... We talked about it towards the beginning, but, like, this all just might be, like, the Devil Fruit's awakening taking over, and we all know about the will of the fruit and stuff. So, yeah, I could... It's hard for me to see Emu dying, but if it's the case that it's just, like, the will of the fruit is going to pass on to somebody else, I could see that. I could see that. I hope it's not Vivi.
Only thing with that is we thought he wanted Vivi because he was in Lily's body, and now that we've seen him, and we know it's a him,
Right.
it kind of makes me think that he's just in love with Vivi, and that, or not Vivi, but Lily, and that Lily definitely was the one he went on to found Amazon Lily.
And even going with the love angle, like, we know that Lily like betrayed them, and so I could just see that it's just that he knows Vivi is gonna be like the linchpin in everything, and he just wants her captured so she can't help. You know what I'm like the love angle, sure, but it seems like Emu's main prerogative, the thing that Emu is really in love with, is power and control, and I think that he's kind of recognizing that Vivi is like the, other than Nika and all this kind of stuff, like Vivi's sort of the linchpin in challenging that power and like taking it away, and in my mind, that's where this is going more so than the love thing. But I know that's also a popular theory too. So I'm not going to rule out the love angle because the first chapter was Romance Dawn. So
I think you said this earlier, but like Emu calls people by like people who looked like them, like during the Void Century.
Right.
And maybe if there's more to that, maybe it's like really is like some cycle of reincarnation, and like that is their soul or their will from back then. That's finally been reincarnated. And then you can kind of look at the trees that we saw on Skypiea, or I'm sorry, on Jaya, that were supposedly harboring the souls. So maybe once the planet flooded, because there's always like that theme of like stagnation in One Piece. Like Moria, he stops being a pirate. He gets kind of fat and, and depressed on his island. And then once he finally like leaves and journeys again, he's kind of cool again. So like maybe once the entire world flooded, there was like some stagnation to the reincarnation cycle, or instead of passing on, people have just been reincarnating, and he's just been waiting to find Vivi.
Yeah, that like the reincarnation thing is what really makes me think that it's not like just love or even like the body possession thing. It's just like, last time I was doing this, Lily ruined everything, and so Vivi is the next Lily. She's gonna ruin everything. We need to get her over here right now. Like I think that's the simplest. But again, I know that the love theory is like very popular, so I can't rule that one out either. But
we just have Hogback, so we've already seen a parallel of it being love.
Yeah, for sure. And that one was like, I guess even for that, like, I guess it really depends what happened with Lily, because like we know that Lily never made it home, and like you could reason it as, oh, Emu just killed her because he knew that she betrayed him and that's it. Or is it that she was like a servant, kind of like Sindri for a while? You know what I mean? And maybe she's still up there and we don't even know. I sort of doubt that, but it's possible for sure. It would be kind of crazy. And actually, we do know that one of the servants was Gunko in the past. So we know that the servant isn't Lily, which would be kind of crazy. So...
Well, presumably she was one of the 20 kings, right? So
right.
She would have been like royalty, presumably.
But then if he like wanted to, like control her or whatever, because like she betrayed or like he was in love or whatever, then I think that's where that kind of comes in. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really, really pumped to see how Vivi like kind of gets roped into all this. That's one of the things I'm most excited for. Satan
hopefully she misses Emu and then just rides on her air balloon into the heavenly realm.
My like pet theory about this is that like we're going to be dead to rights, completely cooked, and then Vivi's going to show up and recognize the situation and be like, all right, Emu, you take me and leave everyone else alone. And then that's where the mission becomes go save Vivi at Marijois, because she kind of offered herself, to protect everybody else, which is a very Vivi thing to do. Which I don't know how likely that is, because it would also suck if Vivi pulled up now and she immediately got taken away and we barely got to spend any time with her. So that's a problem.
Went straight back to where she left.
Yeah, see that's the biggest problem. But for all we know, we're going to be in Elbaf for a little while longer. We could be here for.
What is she hoping to inform the Straw Hats of? Before it was like, oh, she's gonna tell them about Emu, but they're here, so we know.
Yeah,
I guess now it's like, what is the purpose other than having to protect Vivi?
That's it. Because I think she said, I forget how she worded it, or I don't even know if they. I forget exactly what the translation was, but I think she said something like that's going to be like the only safe place or something like, or maybe she said that before they, like back in Alabaster or something. I forget. The point is that she's only safe with the Straw Hats, and so I think that's really what's, you know, what she's thinking at this point. Which it would be funny going right to Emu because Emu's with the Straw Hats, and it's like, well, you're the safest place even though Emu's here, and it's like, I don't know about that. That I don't know, Vivi. I don't know. Satan Sen with the $5 super chat. We're actually almost caught up. What if the original Emu, Mu in parentheses, is a shapeshifter and transforms into all 20 kings except Lily? And this I like. I don't know if it was here. Maybe it was a comment I saw somewhere else, but somebody brought up the idea that like all the other kings, because we don't know where they are or what, if they all died or whatever happened. Did Emu like use them to power himself up, right? Like, you know, like the covenants and stuff. Like, did Emu maybe like take the lives of the other kings and use those to make the covenants or something?
He has all those like eyes behind him, and if you count, presuming it's like a full circle and doesn't just stop, it is like right around like 18, 19 eyes. You can
visible,
including his own.
The visible amount. You can see 11. Let me actually pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm saying if it's a full circle and it like continues like that,
but
what like room for that?
But what I was going to say is so we have 11 back here, and then you add his normal 2 eyes that he has on his face. That makes 13. We know that there were 13 covenants. So even that kind of points towards something going on, right? So I like that idea that at least the kings were used. But Satan Sen here is talking about transforming into the other kings. And that would be interesting too, because we've already seen Emu jump into the Gods Knights bodies, and so like we know Emu can kind of cosplay as other people if they want to. So that would be sort of interesting. And actually, now I'm starting to think about it even more. You go back to like Alabasta, you know, copying someone's identity was a really big deal to like usurp power, right? And then you also think back to Wano, same thing. You know, pretending to be the king was a huge call or huge
even
factor
Katarina Devon
taking over
with Saturn.
Yep, and now we have Katarina with Saturn. So that's like a big theme throughout the story. So that would be kind of cool if Emu was transforming into the other kings and then was able to like get the kingdoms on his side through that way. Like it wasn't through actually working with the kings, but it was pretending to be the kings and then going to their country and getting them to join. You know what I'm saying? That I like it. The more I think about it, I like it.
Yeah, I would love to see like the other kings just to see what they look like, especially now that we saw Emu. Like Vivi, she looks like Lily, but the rest of them, maybe they're gonna be some interesting creatures.
Yeah, that's another topic. Do you have any kind of big predictions on like what they all look like or what powers they have? Like, are the 20 kings all like different races, sort of flipping it on its head that thought, or
that ability statement at like the end of the chapter? It's not his devil fruit, it's his ability. So it's almost like it was the thing he was born with. Like in every other anime, that would just be like their inherited technique or whatever. So for this one, it kind of seems like, well, if he was born with this technique, were there other people at that time that were also born with techniques before the devil fruits? And then maybe all the 20 kings also had special abilities like him. Like, if so, then like, what's going to happen in the Void Century? What are we going to see?
Yeah, I mean, it could be that actually, now that I'm thinking about it, remember how Bonnie like didn't eat her devil fruit, but she was born with it because it was passed on through like the extract or whatever? It could be the same sort of thing where like, what if Emu is the child of like experiments that the Ancient Kingdom was doing to make powers, and he just had the devil's fruit whenever he was born, and that's it.
And even Vivi, we have like that weird scene where it's like seems like she makes it rain. Like for a while, we kind of thought maybe she could be an ancient weapon because of that. But maybe that's like something that she just inherited. That's just her ability is rain, and she's terrible with it. And let Alabasta go into drag.
That's interesting because the ancient weapons could be very similar in that they all are just born with special powers automatically.
Yeah, like Shirahoshi.
Yeah,
that's a great. I never thought. And then Loki's eyes, that could just be his ability.
Yeah, well, even Loki.
We still don't know what that is.
Well, even if you go back to the flashback, like there was multiple times where when Loki was upset, it started snowing, even before he had the fruit or anything like that. And
Mhm.
so it could be like that too. Like they all are just kind of born with natural powers from their ancestors, going to like lineage factor and everything. And I kind of like that. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I just like the idea that Emu is the child of like experiments from the ancient kingdom. Like it's Bonnie all over again, but he's the one who's suffering or who got the powers. And
Mhm.
then, and actually going back to Bonnie, like Bonnie could probably become a devil if she wanted to, right? With the way her powers work. And so there's that angle to it too, where even she could
That
probably
would be
tap into
cool.
this, right?
Well, where do you think is like the earliest point? Or I guess that's almost a silly question. But do you think we'll see like a Nika timeline as well as a Joy Boy timeline, or will it just be kind of they're both merged and Joy Boy was Nika or however?
I definitely think there was a Nika before Joy Boy. And if you go to the mural, it's I forget exactly how it's worded, but the implication I always kind of understood it as is like they like that was like the in the first world that was like the origin of the devil fruit powers, like they were born through I forget how they worded it, the forbidden sun or whatever, right?
Mm.
And so I
Mm.
do think that there was somebody who, like, without the devil fruits in existence, created Nika, like tapped into like the Nika form, and other people probably got other powers before the fruits were made. And my headcanon is sort of that those people who tapped into those powers were turned into the fruits because Emu couldn't kill them. Emu could only like lock them away, and that's why the fruits exist, as it's just the people of the past, like their whatever powers they tapped into were, you know, bundled away.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's sort of how I view it. So I don't know.
That's interesting because I'm trying to read the mural right now because I've been theorizing that the mother flame can affect lineage factors and kind of like starts to mutate people. So what if they created the mother flame and then like the people who are around it the most started to get affected and started to kind of
Yeah.
evolving rapidly?
Well, I'm thinking that the mother flame is based on the forbidden sun. So
Rapidly.
so that forbidden
Hmm.
sun that they're talking
Exactly.
about, which is probably in the core of the earth, it probably has the same properties of like you know how Vegapunk was like energy's all around us and you know I want to tap into
Yeah.
it and use it. I think it's the same thing where people who were near the forbidden sun were like, "Oh, I can use this to do whatever I want." Right? This power lets me do whatever. And then
Hmm.
after that got
Like your
out,
dreams, like yeah, the more imaginative you are with like just like that access to freedom, literally, just come up with and do whatever you want.
exactly. And so yeah, maybe that led to the fruits because like I said, like Emu just couldn't defeat them. It was like I just got to lock you away, and that was the only way, you know. By the way, shout out to Axe D Barlett in the chat. My guy Axe, appreciate you very much for sliding in, my friend. You know, it's almost playoff basketball time, Axe. I think our teams are going to be dodging each other for the most part, except maybe the finals. But we'll see. We'll see, man. I can't wait. My Cavs need to stop getting injured so much. That's really the problem right now. The Cavs feel like they are like an Elbath with how many injuries they're getting. It's like they're just getting tossed around. But we'll see. We got some time to heal up. Hopefully Chopper can clutch up. Let's see. Cloud Lizard with the $5. Rox tried making a deal or contract with Emu in the Flower Room, but the 5 nobles' lives weren't enough. What if the way to beat Emu is to make a deal? I get what if you're still in the chat, what kind of deal, like I guess what would he be offering? Like, I feel like there's some context I'm not getting, because like what would like why what kind of deal would he be making, and why would Emu even think about like accepting it? Because I feel like there's always a question of like why didn't they kill each other, like either way, you know? And so I guess I'm just curious on what the deal would sort of entail, like why, because like Rox wants to become king of the world and take Emu down, so the deal that he would make would be something where it's like you're gonna die, you know what I mean? Like Rox would want him to die, but Emu I could see making a deal where Emu's like, yeah, like you'll stop fighting me, and I like we won't hurt each other, but I'll let you go do, you know, warlord stuff or whatever, you know, like I'll turn a blind eye or whatever. Like I could see something like that because Emu's made a lot of deals, but for Rox, I feel like he just wants to kill Emu, you know what I'm saying? So you said
It's still crazy that he just stopped, and like I wonder what it is that he like now that we see Emu in the real realm and the lower realm.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he damage him? Was there something specifically about Marijual, and when he's there, that he's just impossible to kill?
I think
Like,
that's the
unless he
implication.
baits him down. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's it. He can't, like, when he went up there, he realized, okay, I can't kill you as is. Like, I need to make you leave, or I need some special powers, which maybe is the Yami Yami or something, to be able to hurt you normally, you know? Yeah, it's definitely the vibe I'm getting, for sure. Because it is interesting that Rox was up there and they were just chilling. It's like, Rox had to have come to the conclusion, like, I can't kill you, right? Now,
Yeah.
but Ibu not going after him, I feel like, is really the question mark, you know what I mean? Like,
Or maybe he knew if he. Well, yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say he could just turn and try to kill everyone else,
yeah.
and maybe he could just deal damage to Emu through destroying his covenants. But I don't think he really knew how, based on everything else he did.
Cloud Lizard, you said, I'm not too sure. I remember the assistant made a comment about the nobles not working as bargaining chips. I just find it curious that a deal or contract was involved. Yeah, like I said, the thing for me is that Rox would just want to kill him, but like Emu would definitely be interested in making a deal, you know.
Well, that's what Blackbeard's trying to do now. So
Right.
maybe...
Yeah. I do think we talked about it earlier, but like Blackbeard getting the covenant mark, I feel like that's definitely where it's going. Is it's like, all right, like you want to work together? Well, you got to take this mark because then I can control you, and I'm not worried about you, you know, working against me. But then Blackbeard will be like, well, guess what? The Yami Yami counters that, and you just got cooked by giving me.
Yeah, I
this
feel
power.
like Blackbeard is almost just trying to like, basically like what he did last time, where he just get permission to go in, and then once he's there, he's just going to surprise him with the Yami Yami no Mi.
Yeah. That's definitely where I think this is all going. Because like Rock said, he was looking for 2 fruits. And I know a lot of people now are saying that because we know one is the Elbaf fruit. The other one, I know people are now saying it could be choppers, because Blackbeard was obviously looking for choppers. I like that. I mean, it obviously works really well if Chopper's fruit is the key to beating Domi Reversi. I'm still definitely locked in that it's the Rumble Ball, but I mean, I'm not going to rule out that it's the fruit either for the Forest God stuff. But all right, we're almost caught up now. A couple more came in while we were talking, so now I gotta get caught back up. But Alejandro Solis with the $5. I believe Dragon will win over Garling, but gets low diff by Emu, and the other revs take on the other Holy Knights. Humpty Dumpty Egg can take on Killingham. That's hilarious. Dragon winning over Garling. See, that's interesting because Garling does. We talked about it earlier, but it seems like Garling might have like a extra agenda with this Emu stuff. You know, like maybe he's gonna be okay if Emu kind of dies, or maybe that's what he wants. And because if Emu dies, and the other Gorisays, well, maybe not now because he could still be alive without the immortality.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yep, but he wants Ibu to die because then the other Gorosei will vanish, and then he's left at the top. He's effectively the highest rank. Like,
but I can't imagine Dragon ever trying to work with him after what he saw of him doing, during the God Valley flashback.
I agree. Yeah, like that's the thing is like Dragon might have enough charisma to win over Garling, but I don't think he has that goal. You know, I think he's like, I just want to kill you. I'm gonna be honest, Garling. You know, I do think that fight's going to happen, though. Garling versus Dragon.
Yeah. I didn't mention it earlier, but we were talking about, like, Blackbeard and when he attacked Baltigo the first time. But he must have been trying to go secure Dragon and turn him in the way he's doing with Garp right now. That must have been, like, his first attempt at it, and then they just instantly left. Because he has no other reason to go after the revolutionaries.
Yeah, I mean...
outside of getting a bargaining chip.
Yeah, but, well, it's funny because, like... It is a bargaining chip, but even like capturing Dragon is already like a big positive for the government. So it's like you already gave them the bargain of, you know, stopping him. And obviously the point could be like, well, I'll hand him over if you do more. But
yeah, I think it's like the execution that they would want if they would give them the Celestial Dragon position.
Like for me, I'm pretty 50-50 on like the Baltigo thing as far as like was he going to go capture Dragon, or did he just want to like, you know, like get some intel or something like that, you know, because the government or the revolutionaries are obviously like into all sorts of different things. Maybe he thought they had like a rubbing,
or maybe that's where he got his rubbings.
That would be cool too. I didn't think about that, but he went and stole the poneglyph rubbings from Baltigo. That'd be kind of fire. I actually really like that. Because Dragon having them is cool. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like that alone is very cool. I like that. Because, I mean, capturing dragon works too. I don't know. I do think they're going to come face to face, and like they're obviously antagonistic with one another, but I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. Obviously, Blackbeard has successfully captured Garp, so I feel like at this point, it would be kind of crazy if he also got Dragon, so I don't think, you know, at this point, I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, I don't know. Whenever, assuming Dragon gets to the Holy Land at some point, because he didn't even go whenever the Revolutionaries attacked, so he still has to go there for the first time. I definitely think we're going to get Dragon versus Garling for sure. And I actually like, so Alejandro, you mentioned the other Revs taking on the other Holy Knights. There was a theory back when we first met the Gorosei from Time Lord, Brandon King, in the chat, and he mentioned that basically the Revolutionary Army commanders are actually good matchups for the Gorosei, because there's actually 5 commanders, right? The 4 blues plus Ivankov. And now, obviously, Garling kind of messes with it because we don't know all the forms, but they actually compare kind of well, like a lot of the different forms, like Karasu versus Mars because they're birds. I think it was originally Saturn versus, or no. Now I'm starting to butcher. If I don't have them in front of me, it's hard to remember all 5 of them. But obviously the bird matchup. Oh, Shepherd Jupiter versus Morley because they can both dig in the ground. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I thought that was actually.
I don't
really
know
cool.
if they're strong enough to take on the Gorosei though.
Did you see?
That would be hype.
Did you see Morley throwing hands with Green Bull?
Maybe not, but
Hey,
still though.
Green Bull.
Well,
I mean,
do you put the admirals above the Gorosei? Like, how close is it for you?
I mean, they're definitely close, and so I just feel like if Morley can handle him while like cracking jokes and stuff and get out unscathed while fighting Green Bull, he should have at least a chance against the Gorosei. This is also contingent on like them having good enough hockey for it, because like remember with Sabo, he did the Dragon Claw thing, and like that tells me that they're all pretty good at hockey, I would imagine. So if they have enough hockey to be able to like stop the regen, which I know Conquerors for all the Revolutionary Army commanders might sound insane, but they might just be a lot stronger than we know of. And so I mean it all depends. If they got the same kind of hockey as Sabo and Dragon and stuff, I feel like they got a good shot. You know, I'm not saying they'll win. But that might be Dragon's plan.
This is sort of a random question, but do you think the Gorosei also have those like iron hearts? Or do you think that's just like a lower covenant thing? Because I feel like they should be like the perfected form.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because if the steel heart is what gives them immortality, then definitely, because a lot of them are obviously like they're really old, you know? But it would also make sense that they had something different, you know, because they're just special. So I don't know. I'm 50-50. Do we even know, like does Summers have the deep sea mark, or does he have the deep sea mark? Do we know?
I assumed that it was like God's Steel was the lowest one, God's Knights, and then the Gorosei. So I think it's just like a presumption we have, but I think he has the deep sea.
That would make the most sense, because then like just the top 5, or say for the Gorosei, like the deep sea marks, maybe there's only 5. I think that makes the most sense. Because I was gonna say like, well, if Summers has the deep sea mark, then that might tell us right there that anyone who has it has the steel heart, but maybe he doesn't, and so yeah, maybe the deep sea one is something special that's like different than that.
Because we can assume Shanks probably doesn't, because I mean he's
sure.
mortal and loses limbs. So it's like for some reason in this middle stage you get a mechanical heart. But
yep.
I'm interested in seeing where this is going.
Me too. It kind of reminds me of Pokemon with like the 3-stage evolutions, where like the middle one is always like the awkward like middle sibling, you know what I'm saying? And it feels like it's the same thing now, where it's like, how is Oda going to differentiate? Like the lowest one makes a lot of sense. Like Emu, you know, the Emu can do infinite of them, presumably, you know, it's not finite like the 13 other ones, and it only works when Emu's close. Like that one's differentiated, but Oda's got to differentiate the last 2, and right now they feel kind of similar because, you know, it was said, oh, we can only have 13 of these combined, and it's like, okay, so they're very related then. So yeah, I don't know. I also saw Alejandro ask who is taking down Topman I assume among the revolutionaries, which I love that question. I can't remember. I got to go back to Time Lord's Theory. I can't remember off the top of my head what all the matchups were, but there was a fitting one for Topman for sure. I think Lindbergh was going to fight Saturn. Well, no, I think it was originally Ivankov because Ivankov fought a poison, fruit user before, and so Saturn had poison, right? And so that was going to fit. Now I think the whole setup changed, but don't worry, someone's going to take out Topman eventually. Don't worry. Oda won't let him live. Scuba with the $10. Fun fact, 1179 is the listed birth year of Snorri Sturluson, an Icelandic historian or author of the Prose Edda. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The clearest surviving source in regard to Norse mythology, covering a ton of Norse poetry. Very interesting. I mean, we were talking a little bit earlier about lining it up with Easter Sunday and Artemis 2 and all that kind of stuff, but this is definitely down Oda's alley to do some math piece like this. I'm going to look it up real quick. Look this guy up. Snorri Sturluson. And, I'm also thinking, too, like, we also had Louis Arnault mentioned earlier at the beginning of the arc, and I feel like he's sort of similar to this kind of historian sort of feel, right? Where he, wrote about Little Garden and all that, and he had other books too, from what I remember. I don't know if we learned what they were, but we know he was like an author. So
is he the one who wrote Bragman, or is that a different one?
He wrote Bragman, yeah. And so Bragman kind of feel like, because I think Bragman, it's like people who are reading it casually don't think it's like historical, but obviously we kind of know it is because of Little Garden, right? So I think that's sort of where it's at. So it is interesting that we had Louis Arnault tied to this arc, and now, we're talking about this other guy, Sturluson. Yeah, he was born in 1179. And he died 1241. So now we might have the date for the end of, or the chapter for the end of Elbaf, 62 chapters from now. That kind of sounds roughly right. I hate that sounds right.
Does it? I think I was expecting a 10 chapter like finale once we got back from like the Loki flashback, just because like it's like one volume. But now I'm thinking like maybe 2. I can't, because he apparently wasn't planning this. So, although I don't believe that.
I think we got like 50 plus chapters left of Elbaf minimum. I would say. I mean, I get that, like, with Emu showing up, it feels like it could end soon, but I almost feel the opposite. Like, now we have, like, our reason for it to extend, because even if Emu gets defeated or gets tired and has to go or whatever, it's like we'll have a lot of discussion after that. Like, hey, what happened? Like, who was that? But if he does stay here, like, I think we're going to be here for a little bit, personally. And, like, you have theories about the Heaven Realm. We haven't even seen it yet. And so I feel like that's going to take a little bit of time. Yeah, I feel like we got at least like 50 chapters left. I don't know how everyone else feels, but
I mean, I'd be happy to be in Elbaf for that long.
Same. I mean, for me, it's hard. I know Oda wants to end the story soon and stuff, but it's really hard for me to imagine Elbaf not being over 100 chapters. But some of these other are like, I mean, Dressrosa was great and everything, but if that's over 100. But Elbaf isn't. I don't know. To me, it feels a little strange. Like, Elbaf should be one of the longest arcs. Which, like, Oda...
I feel like at this point of the story, we're kind of like passing the part of, like, needing a story arc for each, like, island. Like, we really don't need to, like, land somewhere and have, like, problems to solve in that place. Like, now we're kind of all just, like, moving towards the end game. So it could be that things will accelerate. But how many has it been so far?
Let's see. We got here 1126, so we're at like 53 chapters.
Dang.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like we've had 53 chapters, and like a lot has happened, but I feel like a lot also hasn't happened. Like the flashback took up a lot of that time, but like like Oda. Like, I feel like we could always argue that, like, oh yeah, One Piece could end, like, very, very quickly, but Oda has shown no propensity to make that happen. Like, he does not speed up. He is like a tortoise when it comes to writing the story, in the best way possible. So I'd be pretty surprised if it ended. I mean, 20 minimum. 20 absolute minimum for me. Maybe...
I think it's end of the year.
But I would say, like, 50, honestly, at least, because I just think this Emu stuff, like, this Emu stuff should take 20 to 30 on its own. I mean, maybe not that long, but something like that, so Oda can flesh out.
He did kind of give us that like message in Jump Festa, where he said we were going to go somewhere this year, but those are always off.
Yeah, I saw a post recently where it was like 5 years ago, Oda said One Piece was going to end in 5 years or something like that, and we're like, I mean, we're kind of getting there, but we're not close enough to say like One Piece is ending soon. You know, like it's
even the post we got recently that said like Oda or One Piece was going to be tying up within the next like 3 to 5 years. Like, I don't see that happening now either.
Yep. And Narukami in the chat is cooking with the most important agenda of all. Your Rouge has not appeared yet, and so we got time. If your Rouge hasn't shown up yet, we got time for sure, because your Rouge is pulling up. He has to. If your Rouge doesn't pull up, I'm rioting. I'm gonna be like the Celestial Dragons in Marijois. I'm gonna burn something down if your Rouge doesn't pull up. Debus with the Canadian $7. Thank you very much, brother. If this is Sabaody 2, is Gunko our Kuma that was mind controlled and has a devil fruit that can send us away on arrows to save us?
I don't think we're getting split up. I think we will lose, but I think we're going to stay together. Because getting split up now would be very inconvenient. Really, just the whole story.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get split up either, but I do like the idea that Gunko is the Kuma to save us and get us out of here. The more I think about it, the more I really like that, actually. Because it's like... Because, yeah, the arrows, like, if we're, like, on a ship, it could almost be like Robin and Ohara, in a way. Remember how, like, Kuzan made, like, the alleyway of ice to, like, let Robin out of there on the ship, right? Could be kind of similar to that, too. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, because, like, there's also the angle of it where, yeah, like, Kuma was in the process of, like, losing his free will. Gunko kind of lost it. Or like did lose it but is trying to get it back. And then also, like, if Gunko helped us get out, then then Emu is gonna be like really angry and probably just kill Gunko, which don't tell Birch about that. I don't know if he's in the chat. He doesn't want to hear that. He's #1 Gunko fan. But I'd never thought about that, but it does make sense. I mean, you know, going back to like the Straw Hats maybe getting cooked here, we would probably need help getting off.
Well, I think we're going to the moon.
I like it. Hey, it could be that too. Wait, going back to the arrows.
Straight up.
Now, going back to the arrows, it might be even easier to get to the moon, because if Gunko gives us an arrow pointing upwards, the ship might just float up. You're cooking, Debus. You're cooking. Mr. Bushido, you got 4 in a row here. Thank you very much. Also, shout out to everyone who subscribed. I kind of skipped over those, but thank you very much. Mr. Bushido with the 2 euros. Zoro loses to Emu and gets Domi reversied. I feel like if Zoro got Domi reversied, he would somehow be able to stop it, like, because he is demonic. You know, he has the Asura stuff, and I feel like that might be where that goes, is like Emu tries it, and then it's like, oh my god, all of you guys are just freaks. Like, all of you are just... I can't reverse any of you because you're already demons. I hate this. You know, something like that. Like, I would like
why
that.
do you think Luffy and Loki weren't able to beat Domi reversied? Because that's not even related to the Rumble Ball or Chopper.
Yeah, it's weird because Emu... What did Emu say? Emu was like, as expected, these two are truly ... And we never got the answer. So there's something Emu was going to say about these two. I mean, it could be Emu was going to say, like, these two are truly gods, or these two are truly demons, or something, because maybe Emu can't because they're already the thing that Emu was going to turn them into. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's what I think. It's going to be gods or demons, because just not even because of their fruits, but probably just like their temperament or something. Like they've already accepted the demonic part of themselves, and Emu can't do anything. You know, because I would like that, because Loki his whole life, right, has been like, everyone said he was cursed and he's the worst and whatever, and now he's just fully accepted. Yeah, I'll be the sun god who destroys the world, whatever. And so maybe there's some through line there. They both just accepted their true selves or something to that effect. What do you think? You got
someone just put a message in the chat that is really interesting. It's a little different, but they said that the metal heart, it looks like the Gorosei made it happen because Saturn died and none was left. Also, shout out to Kuso Land.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Was Kuso Land in the chat? Kuso, he is. Appreciate you. Yeah, that is interesting. I guess what you could maybe say there is that Emu like took the heart back, right? Like Emu reabsorbed the steel heart after Saturn died. That would be like my copium answer. But regardless, that's a good point. The fact you would think we would see it just as like a foreshadow or something. So that's a good point. And like we were saying, like Oda's got to differentiate them, right? Because like the middle rank feels like the second evolution of Pokemon, where they're like very forgettable. I was gonna say it's like Ivysaur or Wartortle, but I'm gonna be honest, those are like two of the best second evolutions, so they don't even count. But yeah,
Charmeleon's kind of awkward.
Yeah, Charmeleon's probably the weakest of the first three. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but Charmander's goated, Charizard's goated. Literally nobody talks about Charmeleon. Nobody. Yeah, and I think it's Will of Dreams. The name's cut off, but probably you. You said no heart for Saturn or Harold. We said Gerald, which reminds me of Hey Arnold, because Gerald was my favorite character in Hey Arnold. But Harold, and also Harold was also in Hey Arnold. Actually, now that I think about it, and Harold was probably my least favorite character in Hey Arnold. But yeah, I guess we didn't see one there either. It could be that, we talked about like lightning being super effective against it, so it could be that like Harold's exploded, and that's why he died the way he did, because like the lightning caused it to blow up, which is also making me think of Pokemon, because I'm playing Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness right now because it's on Nintendo Switch Online, and I literally just had to overpower the Shadow Pokemon machine, so I added too much power and it blew up, so it's literally the same thing, which is absolutely insane the more I think about it, because it's like Shadow Pokemon, they're controlled and all that. But
do we know how his heart came out? Like, what damage did he take before that? Like, who tore his heart out of his body?
Who? Wait, Harold?
Or no, sorry, for
Summers.
Summers. There you go.
Oh.
I want to say Killingham.
I think. Well, we did see his face cut in half, and then like he tried to put the heart in his head. And so I don't know if the idea is just that like it's always in their head, and maybe, well, I guess if it was always in his head, then the heart would have got cut when his head got cut. So I don't know.
Well, he was together, and then they're like pulling him apart, and then they just have him holding it. That's interesting.
So
I'm just looking at the chapter now.
Yeah, I think the implication is he was cut before, and the heart came out, and then his different body parts were trying to like put itself back together while they weren't looking. And somebody saw him put the heart in his head and then pulled it back out. Like, wait, what was that? I think that's the general gist. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's go ahead and get through these last couple super chats. Bushido, I think Sanji confronts Emu, and Emu calls him Sora, which confuses him, I think, because the comic Germa 66 are based off ancestors of Judge and not Vince Smokes today. That would be kind of cool. Because like the Sora Warrior of the Sea stuff, and obviously his mom was named Sora, so I think that's, there's a little through line there. I like that. Because like if Zoro's going to be Ryuma, Luffy's going to be Joy Boy, Sanji needs one. And actually, hold on, actually you're cooking. Because going back to the comic Germa 66, remember in Wano when Sanji first used the raid suit and Law is like, oh my god, that's Stealth Black from the comic. Oh, he was the coolest. Like, he's like freaking out about it, right? It's the same kind of thing where Sanji would be another comic book hero. So yeah, you're cooking, Bushido. You're actually cooking. I really love that. I almost want to do a video on this now, because I was already thinking about like I want to get one more Emu video out before the next chapter and stuff. And I was thinking about doing like one sort of tying to the Ryuma thing and just make it all about how this immediate fight's going to go down and how Emu's going to look at everybody and call them their past names and just that sort of basic thing. Because I also want to just talk more about like that Ring of Fire thing I keep showing, because I think the placements are cool and I want to talk about Zoro fighting Emu. But Yeah, the Sora thing is really cool, and it's starting to make me wonder, like, what the other Straw Hats are going to be. Like, are they all going to be tied to past people? Who would Usopp be? The God of War, Elbaf?
Nolan? Oh, that would be cool.
I mean, who else would it be? I mean, Noland, but Noland is like post-Void Century.
Yeah, he's not old enough.
Yeah. Which I think Noland is definitely going to get a shout-out at some point this arc.
I guess, would Frankie be one of the giant shipbuilders? So I thought I could think of there.
That would be so cool. Frankie is like maybe the main shipwright of the Gale Ra Giants. You're cooking with that one. I mean, so Cloud Lizard said Davy in the chat. I could see Usopp being Davy as well, Davy Jones, because his hair is kind of like Blackbeard's, and he also has a long nose, kind of like Blackbeard, and so there might be a little through line there. I kind of like God of War Elbaf just because it's like so crazy for Usopp to even be that, you know. But but I could the only problem for me with Davy is that I already know that Emu's thinking that Blackbeard is Davy, and so I don't know if he's going to think multiple people are him. Which, even though there obviously could be tons of descendants, I would imagine he's only going to call one. You know, like by each name. Otherwise, it's like
Maybe he'll confuse Usopp for ancient Sniper King.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool if there is like what if Sniper King is like there was a Sniper King in the past? You know what I mean? Like a legit one. I would like that.
Laugh Tale is the Sniper Island.
Honestly, you might be kind of cooking. Sniper Island's in our hearts. Like I don't. There's a lot you could think of there. I like that. I'm gonna think about this more. I might do a video on everyone who's paralleling people from the past. I might. That's a really cool idea. Mr. Bushido, you also said Shamrock is Kid's endgame fight. I agree with you. I don't really have any notes to add there. Well, as far as endgame, I could see Kid doing something after Shamrock, but I definitely think Shamrock is like Kid's next big W for sure. For sure. Bushido, you said Yamato versus Topman. Odin sliced a pig. She is Odin. I'm all for that. If the Straw Hats end up fighting the Gorosei, then Yamato is definitely the one fighting Topman. I think 100%. I'm still a little iffy on if they are going to fight the Gorosei because we've already dealt with them once, and so maybe it's just me, but I don't know if I'm even like super excited to see the Straw Hats fight them because it's like we already dealt with them once. I don't want to see that again, but maybe that's just me. That's kind of why I like the Revolutionary Army commanders doing it because it's like an unexpected person, and it's just, you know, there's like interest there in terms of seeing them fight finally. So yeah, if the Straw Hats fight them, sign me up. Sign me up. Also, I see 00 Flevance just pulled up. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. And Rapo also. I don't know if you were here before, but thank you. Actually, you just sent another one. I'll read all of these at once. Thank you very much, Rapo. I have understood how Emu's powers work. 1, Emu cannot use Domi Reversi on Devil Fruit users. I have something to say about that, but I'll get back to it. 2, Emu's immortality.
Very possible.
Emu's immortality is restricted in a room created by the Op operator, thus why she coughs blood outside why he coughs blood outside the castle. 3, Domi Reversi is a chamber or house from Latin domus, where bodies are being preserved and devils take the form of that body. That's why they don't actually die when they get killed. As far as the first one about, by the way, for the most part, I think you're cooking. I really like the op room part of it, but as far as not being able to Domi Reversi Devil for users, also 00 Flevance, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, by the way. My goat, thank you very, very, very much. And you know what? I'm gonna just match you real quick because I realized last month I forgot to use all my free memberships, and I'm not gonna let that happen again. So I matched you, Flevance. Thank you very much, brother. But about the Devil Fruit users thing, my kind of caveat to that is I don't think it makes a lot of sense that Emu even tried using it on Loki and Luffy. You know what I mean? Like if Emu already, I would assume Emu was aware of that limitation, and so Emu went and tried it on Loki and Luffy anyway, and it didn't work. And maybe it's just me, but like it's kind of silly for Emu to try it.
Yeah.
You know, that's my, because I've heard that many times, and I thought there was a good chance of it, but it's just, it would be very weird to me that Emu would even attempt it. You know. And then, like I said, I really like the op operator thing, and it could end up being that whenever somebody does the eternal youth surgery, maybe they're not eternally youthful everywhere, but they have to stay in the room that was made by the operator or something like that. So there's a limitation to it. I like that part. And then as far as the Domi Reversi thing, this ties to something we were talking about a little bit earlier, which is like Emu's freezer room, you know? And I wonder if, like, because I agree that like devils are taking the form of that body. It's almost like Domi Reversi is giving the victims like a devil zone power in a way, or a demon zone power, right? Because it's like it's still the original person, but they're just a demonic version of themselves. So it feels very similar to that. And so going back to the freezer room, and actually, especially because Domi Reversi tends to use the pentagram circles, maybe their real body is getting shipped, you know, to a safe place like the freezer or whatever. And then, you know, out comes this demonic version or something. Or it could just be their soul is getting sent to wherever, you know, and then their real body's getting used. But the fact there is a circle being used and the circles are tied to teleportation feels kind of weird. What do you think?
Emu's entire power set is so confusing.
I agree.
So many different things. But
yeah.
For me, I'm kind of thinking like Domi Reversi, because it almost gives them like a human Sulong version of themselves. You know, they get bigger, stronger, and then they also suffer a drawback from all the power. But it's just being staved off by the immortality from Emu. So I hope we get to learn more about it, just because one, it's a broken ability, but two, it seems like everyone's going to be able to prevent it. Because if Luffy and Loki can do it now, I would imagine that either the rest of the crew is, otherwise it's just going to be a liability if we ever encounter him again. But it could be that he's saying that they're already awakened. Because if he knew there were devil fruit users, maybe he just didn't know whether or not they awakened their fruits.
That's a good caveat. It could be that only awakened devil fruit users, and maybe it's awakened devil fruit users who can properly control the form. Maybe those are the ones that Emu can't use. That would make more sense. Well, it would, but it also wouldn't, because I think Emu should be able to look at Luffy and know what's going on. You know, okay, you've awakened the Nika fruit. Yeah. That's what that, like, so Emu shouldn't have even tried there either. Because, yeah, like Emu was, like maybe Emu was about to say, you two are truly, like, already awakened. I don't even know if that makes sense now that I think about it. Because it feels like, and it's just the translation, so maybe the translation isn't this serious, but when Emu is saying, as expected, these two are truly, Emu is saying, as expected, so it's like Emu was thinking that this was already true. So it could be the awakenings part, because maybe Emu was like, he thought that they had awakened.
He's still surprised by it, yeah. As expected, and then he's so surprised. So it's not a devil fruit, it's that or it's something else. It's either awakened or maybe voice of all things, but I feel like he's saying that it's something they've already come into.
Yeah, it is interesting that he tested it and was like, pretty much like, yeah, this confirms what I was, worried about, or something. Like, awakening would maybe make a little bit of sense there. I don't think it's regular devil fruit. It's definitely got to be awakened users, if anything. But I still like the idea that, like, they're, they've accepted their demonicness or something like that. Hold on, I can't see the name, but I want to shout out Kosuna Koizumi. You are truly the children of prophecy. I like that. That would be cool too. And Rapo, I see you talking to Kusaland. You said, I'd like to stick with the idea that the body is hidden somewhere when Domi Reversi. Me too. Either the body or the soul, because I think it would be kind of cool. Because, like, we know with Rox, like, he was still in there. Because he was using Voice of All Things to talk to Garp and Roger. But like I was saying, the fact that, like, a circle is used when they do Domi Reversi. Because even, like, when Emu stabs people to do Domi Reversi, there's still a circle. It's just, like, on his arm, right? Like, even when, like, Loki and Luffy were getting, where he was trying to do it to them, he says, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Curial, I have no idea how to say that word, but Demonic Covenant. You can see the pentagrams popping up, like, in the black smoke stuff. So, you know, those pentagrams are deeply tied to transporting people. So I think it would make sense the body goes somewhere. Also, you know how, like, they get dipped into the ground? Like, they, like, half their body gets put into the ground, like, and then they flip over. That also feels like they're going somewhere. Like, they're being dipped into the underworld or something like that, so...
It could be like a doppelganger situation, like Fire Force. You just get swapped with the opposite version from the underworld.
Yeah, like, maybe everyone just has, like, a demonic counterpart, and Emu's bringing those up, and actually going back to the idea that, like, Loki and Luffy accepted their demonicness, their evilness, whatever. It could be that Emu's like, so you two have already, you know, brought in your demonic half, or, you know, something to that effect. I think that would maybe make sense. We'd obviously have a lot to learn about how the underworld works before we can get there, but... all right, last super chat for right now, and then we're finally caught up, and then we'll just kind of talk to the chat and hang out for a little bit, and then we'll get out of here. But Spencer5175 with the $2. Hop on the CSI hype train. Chopper slaps Emu. I am firmly on that train. I just don't know if it's gonna work this time, because again, I'm big on the Rumble Ball idea, which maybe that's not true. You know, that's very possible that it is just the Devil Fruit Chopper special, you know, end of the story. But if it is the Rumble Ball, then I think what we're about to get to is, like, Chopper's going to try it in his current mode, and it's not going to work. And then he's going to be like, well, I can't take another Rumble Ball for another day or whatever because I just used one, right? He might be in Baby Geezer mode. And then that's going to give us, like, a time limit to where, you know, we're just trying to survive until Chopper can have another Rumble Ball. That's kind of where I'm at on it. But I do think he's going to try, and it's not going to work, and that's going to tell us, like, oh, shoot. Something else.
He could just take another one, and then maybe he just has some severe side effects again. Like, maybe he just can't control himself while he's in it.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like we need something like that, because that parallels how Monster Point even started, right?
Mm-hmm.
He took more than he was supposed to in the time frame. So I do like that, because that would also just give Chopper a new power-up, which... Because, like, his last power-up that he got was just more Monster Point, which is, like, great, but I feel like Chopper needs a legit power-up. And I brought this up in
true awakened form.
Yeah, I brought this up in my video, but maybe, like, we're going to get to Forest God Point. Like, it's not that he has the Forest God fruit, but if he takes enough Rumble Balls, he taps into Forest God Point, and so it's the same thing. And so he's almost, like, awakening his fruit, but with training wheels is kind of how I think of it. Like, he just needed, like, to boost, you know, a little bit, because, like, obviously he gets to tap into a bunch of extra forms with the Rumble Balls, so this might be an extension of it, where he taps into Forest God Point, but not that he is the Forest God fruit user. I would kind of like that.
And plus, even if he is, I don't know, like, how that's going to relate to Emu himself. Like, he could just be the perfect counter for anyone who gets Domi Reversied. I don't know if it'll work on Emu. Realistically, it should just be, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Even if it is Chopper's fruit, I don't think he would be super effective against Emu, just because, like... I mean, I love Chopper and everything, but it's hard for me to imagine him being, like, the reason Emu dies or something. But, like, if it's the Rumble Ball, and we just create this situation, again, with Usopp, where he tries, like, shooting it in, Emu's mouth.
I just had, like, a crazy thought. What if Chopper does touch Emu, but he just repels, like, the shadow out of, that body? So then we just get left with, like, the shadow disappears, and then with whatever Nerona Emu is, we just kind of, get, like, their unconscious body, and maybe we can talk to them and learn more about what happened in the Void Century.
So,
That'd
like,
be sick.
So like Emu is possessed right now, and Chopper frees him, even if it's only like temporarily or something.
Because when we saw him land, he was still in that body, and then either wings or like the shadowy mask kind of like busted out of his back. So that could still be like something possessing this body.
Yeah, it is weird how like the silhouette isn't even close to the original, and like normally I can forgive Oda a good amount for the silhouette accuracy, but like the main calling card of Emu, other than the silhouette and the eyes, was the really tall crown, and that is very clearly not there. And so obviously Emu
and they're taller now.
Yeah, they should be at least, because judging by the panel, Emu should be ancient giant size.
Giant size, yeah.
Because if you go back to like when Loki was walking through the castle, like, well, and Harold, remember that like the castle's built for ancient giants, not just even regular. It's for ancient giants because like Harold and Loki, you had to fit in there. And then Emu is like the size of the window, and so the window should probably be ancient giant sized, if because it's kind of not functional if your windows are too small, So he probably should be ancient giant size. So yeah, I mean, he definitely did transform. I don't know. It's so hard for me to understand what's happening. You kind of said it earlier, but like, there's so many different pieces to Emu's ability. I'm like, a lot of stuff makes sense. And I feel like I could be coaxed into like a bunch of different ideas. People also in the chat were bringing up earlier when we were talking about the Rumble Balls, like Luffy potentially eating one, which I think. I think that'd be very cool. I
think it would just put him directly back into Gear 5.
I hope
without even recovering.
I hope it just doesn't even work because he doesn't actually have a zone. Because remember he said he doesn't have one, and now everyone else is saying he has one. I think it'd be really cool if he ate it, and he's like, "I told you guys it was not a zone. Like you guys did not want to listen to me," and that could actually be part of why if Usopp beats Emu by shooting a Rumble Ball in his mouth, if we just make that very huge assumption that that's true, the way that we might get there is like they try feeding Luffy one to save the day because maybe Chopper finds out he has a zone and he's like, Luffy, this will help you, and then it doesn't work, and then maybe Emu puts down their guard because of that, because like, oh, okay, so these pellets aren't anything, they don't affect zones or whatever, like these are nothing. But then it's all just because his fruit actually isn't a zone and Emu thought it was, and they, had it mixed up or something. I think that would be kind of cool to like put together, all the different mysteries in one. Now, is it likely? Probably not. But I want it to happen. I really want Luffy's fruit to just be... I mean, it can still be a Nika-related fruit, but as long as it's not scientifically a zone, I feel like that'd be really cool for the callback. Because even in Eni's lobby, they're like, whenever you eat the fruit, the user knows immediately like what the name is / what the powers are. Like, everyone talked about the name, but the point is definitely that like the user is aware of their own powers. And so when Luffy's like, I don't have a zone, I'm like, hey, look, and if anybody knows, it's him because he ate it. Not that Luffy's like the most intelligent guy, but. But all right, guys, I think we have reached the end here. This went a little bit, actually a lot longer than I thought, but that's okay. We had a lot to cook, so I just want to... Or wait, actually, do I have one more? Oh, yeah, I have one more. Mr. Bushido. Then we're going to wrap it up after this. Mr. Bushido, Robin is the modern-day family of Emu. Okay, you're cooking. I like that one. I actually really like that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, does Emu have like other relatives? It's interesting that he's an ancient giant Lunarian, and then he betrayed everyone seemingly based off how he treats both of those.
And a lot of people have said like so and so is going to be Emu's daughter or whatever. I'm like, I don't think Emu has any like immediate kids that are alive now. Maybe that's just me, but I don't foresee Emu. The Gods Knights are a different story, but Emu, I don't foresee just knocking people up and having kids and letting them go out into the world and stuff. I just think Emu is, trying to not let people know they exist at all. And so I don't know if they have any kids now, but maybe back in the day they did, and so there is like a descendant out there that, Emu is maybe even unaware of just because they stopped following their life, or, they... Kind of like with a lot of the families at One Piece, like, Usopp doesn't know everything Usopp's been doing, so... could be a similar thing. And going back to how Robin had Demonio Floor, that could be our kind of in here is like if Emu actually has a demon form, like with red skin and it parallels Robin, that could be why Robin tapped into it, is that's actually like her lineage tying back to Emu. And I like that. That would be very cool.
At the very least, even if she was just trying to conjure like the image of a demon, like what does she know in regards to Emu? Like I can't wait to see her reaction when she sees him.
Yeah.
She's going to have some lore.
And she's been called the Devil's Child. And what if that's, or the Devil Child or Devil's Child, depending on your translation. But it could be that she was actually the child of the devil all along, right? And it's more like legitimate. And I feel like this would have to tie to Robin's dad, whoever it is, right? Like, because we already met Olvia, and I'm sure she's important. She does have the white hair, which could maybe tie to Emu a little bit, or like silverish hair. But Robin's dad is still a big mystery, so that'd be really cool if it was him. But all right,
it's
guys.
like the only parent we don't know, like of a pair. Or I guess that and Frankie's mom, but
which I'm worried that Frankie's mom will never matter because Queen, like, if Queen's gonna get revealed in an SBS, I don't even know if Frankie's mom's gonna get mentioned, but yeah, guys, hey, thank you all for being here. Seriously, Crap Cafe, thank you for taking a few hours out of your day to be here for this. Seriously, I love talking to you about some theories. Shout out to Parvision as well, who obviously had to bounce earlier. And guys, if you guys got some time, I know we talked about a lot of theories today, but go check out my boys. Parvision dropped a good theory video earlier today, and Crap Cafe is always cooking. I think your last video is still about the Rumble Ball, so if you need, any
I got a new one dropping this weekend.
Hell yeah. His channel's right in the description. I almost said subscription, because you subscribe, but you got to go down to the describe part, to find where the channel is. So thank you all for being here. Seriously, go support my boys. They make great content. And we might have I might have another stream just with myself this weekend if I can get a good start on the video. So be on the lookout for that. I can't stop talking about Emu. We were live for like 3.5 hours today, and I feel like we could have gone for another 3.5. So yeah, thank you guys. Everyone be safe out there. Most importantly, the world's not getting any safer, so please be safe, and we